go through the standard procedure, which takes a few minutes to actually get the live stream here up on my PC. So to anybody who is watching the VOD, hello and welcome to a live stream Q&A. This is a special occasion because today, the 9th of April, marks 10 years on YouTube, which is quite amazing. Hello, Miller. I know you'd be tuning in since you were busy on Discord. I suppose that of all things would make the most sense. Time to make the almighty Discord ping. Copy. Alan the Ginty, hello, glad you're able to make it. 187 people in the Discord server. Look at that. 187 people getting closer to what I enjoy doing. Right, it's time to turn on. It looks a bit amazing. It's using a tablet to do the recording, and this is the brightest I think I've ever seen myself on camera. So Pufferfish, Alan the Ginty, yes, hello, hello. Miller, look at that Funko Pop. Your room looks like Forbidden Planet comic book shop. So that's all of my Captain America pop vinyls. In a box over there are half Fallout and half Brick and Morty pops. I don't know if I've shown you those before in the past, Miller. I actually might have a picture to show you, but I don't know how in date it is. Union Pacific fan, hello, good to see you. R32 fan, hello. All right, lad, doing good. Let's go to the monetization setting. Turn monetization on. Let's see how well this goes. Lots of people flooding in already. This is lovely. Right, so to anyone who's just tuned in, yes, again, this is the 10-year anniversary live stream where I'm going to be doing a massive Q&A. In the past number of weeks, I have been asking people on my Discord server, as well as here on YouTube, to ask me as many questions as they can. And we have over 100 questions. I have this all written down, ready to go to be able to answer instead of having to go through the Discord server again. Over 100 questions from a number of different people. Some people asked a good dozen questions, which is a good thing because it's a chance to get as many in as possible. And these have been sectioned in a way where I'm going to be answering all of the questions from this one user, and then we're going to go to the questions asked from this user, and so on until we reach the end. So I am recording, or not so much recording, but live streaming this, well, for two reasons. First of all, this is a live stream instead of an actual video, because this saves me having to do any kind of editing. There is nothing really special going on here, and besides, a live stream is more fun. Secondly, it's on Saturday, and Saturday night live streams are still going. It's actually getting a bit more consistent, and this being on a Saturday is just a coincidence. So it's nice to be able to slot that in. I saw a few more names appear in chat. Union Pacific fan, thanks for a shout out on one of the previous live streams. Yeah, of course. That was one of the things about the community challenge as well. That reminds me, some announcements, some things to kind of point out before we actually get on with the Q&A. I like how you made 10 years on YouTube video was 10 minutes. Yeah, all the 10s basically. So that video being 10 minutes was not planned. I had all the things that I had the scripts written out, and I had all those clips ready weeks ago. Maybe even months at this point. It's been ages. They've just been sat there in the document for ages, but I never actually knew when to do the video. So I thought, you know what, 10-year anniversary, we'll do it that way. And I didn't really have any plans to go into each section any further than what you saw in the video. So each chapter is no longer than a minute. And for the overall video to be 10 minutes on a 10-year anniversary, again, happy coincidence. Mike's Bricks, hello, good to see you. Yes, so announcements. Before we actually get on with the Q&A, last few things I will say. So first of all, in the past number of days, I have been thinking about the community challenge again. And the way that was done when it first happened last year was interesting. And I think the format was okay, but I think the subjects themselves were not the best, where it was, this month is Steam, so make your own Steam logo, show me what you've built. It was kind of, show me what you've built instead of, here's the theme, make something new. And that's what I want to try and do with the community challenge going forward. And at the moment, I've got two ideas of how that's going to work. So very probably, I do believe that the community challenge will come back with these two ideas kind of coming in at the same time, and with interest for community challenges to come back and continue. It's probably going to have a revival, I think is the right word to use. for May and going forwards, depending on how successful this is as well. I'm also using this new community challenge revival for something specific elsewhere, but that's besides the point. But yeah, that's all pretty good. And another thing to not so much announce, but just to kind of give you a heads up on is upcoming videos. I got a few more Nerf Blaster videos to get out on the channel. Having some more fun with Nerf again recently, which is absolutely lovely. And I've been having some fun with some roller. Do I have the bag nearby? Oh, I don't know where I've put the bag, but basically I saw a video online, and it was how you could manually install roller bearings on existing Lego train bracket wheel pieces. I don't know what the actual word for it is, but I saw that a while back. I thought, you know what, I want to give that a go because adding roller bearings is really good. Getting pre-made ones from like HA Bricks or Brick Model Railroad is stupid expensive. So I waited a whole month for them to arrive. They arrived yesterday and spent all day yesterday adding roller bearings to my wheels. That was a very interesting experience. I've had some play around. Again, I got 2 loops of track on the floor. I've been playing with that all day yesterday. It's been wonderful stuff to have, and there is not that much of a noticeable difference in terms of performance with the roller bearings, but at the same time there is a difference, and it's just so much fun. So that's another video that's going to be coming out where I talk about when it comes to using roller bearings on trains, and again, kind of how is it better to do this or what I did basically by adding roller bearings to existing wheels, or buying something from HA Bricks or BMR. So community challenge, check. Videos, check. Time to get on with the Q&A. This is going to be the meat and potatoes of this stream, and I have no idea how long this is going to go on for, by the way. So it's now 7:05 here in merry old England. Normally I start my streams at 8 o'clock, which is in an hour's time. But given I've got over 100 questions to ask, I don't know how long this is going to take. And I've spent 5 minutes already talking about a few other things. But let's get started. These first few questions come from Glasgow Brick Subway. Just before I get on with the question, let me just quickly catch up with chat. Mike, Pufferfish, Alan the Ginty. Yeah, all right, Miller. Challenge for May 2020, subway trains. Of Glasgow specifically, Yeah, I wonder. Dr. Professor Oblivious, hello, good to see you made it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone's going to be making. To the questions by Glasgow Brick Subway, as seen on Glasgow Live. Go check out that article online. Now, he entered these questions in the last hour or two, so some of these are kind of jokey, but also some of these are quite serious. This is someone I know personally. He's a member of the LNUR, and shout out to the club, wearing a t-shirt for the special occasion. So first of all is, when are you going to be building a Glasgow subway train? Last time I mentioned making subway trains, you told me to get off your land, basically, so I think that answers your own question. What was your best surprise at a show, and why was it a tattooed man putting an Iron Brew livery Gronk on your layout? I would say it would definitely have to be a tattooed man showing up at a Lego train show that I was doing, and he showed up with a BR08, which is also known as a Gronk, in an Iron Brew livery, and he put it on my layout. It was very cool to interact with this man, especially because he was famous for appearing on Glasgow Live. When are you going to build more diesels or even another Gronk? I still don't care about diesels. It's not so much I don't care for them. I go through Facebook pages where they're focused on Lego trains, and I've seen other models on Flickr, for example. Diesels do look absolutely incredible with what people can make. Deltics in particular are always amazing to kind of see in brick form, but they're not enough for me to want to make them. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just not enough for me. I don't know. I don't have anything against diesels. I have built diesels, rarely, but I have done them. A Gronk in particular, which is one of my sort of better diesels, definitely one of the best diesels I've made. It's an 8 wide model that's still on YouTube to anyone who hasn't seen it. And I think if I was going to make another one, I'd probably try and redo my Gronk. So I suppose, Miller, you can clip that and kind of store it in the group chat for a later date. But I think the Gronk, if anything, I should get around to building that one day. Another clubmate also said to try the GT3 because he said that looks like a very Luke build. So yeah, I could probably do that one day. Do you still buy Lego sets or have you stopped? I can't quite show you. Can you see that in the there? So right up against the wall, underneath that window, is a Lego bag filled with Lego sets that are still sealed. And these are kind of odd sets, like the Sonic the Hedgehog set. What else is in there? The Sonic the Hedgehog set, a few Ninjago Dragons. There's a few Speed Champion sets. I can't really see in there because it's too tucked out of the way. I can't really see that. But yeah, there's definitely a good few sets that are in there that have my interest. Again, something unique like the Sonic set. That's enough for me to go, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll have that. I would like to try and build that one day, but given current arrangements, I don't want to dedicate the time to build that, only for it to be kind of shoved back in the box. And, I'd rather keep it sealed, keep it tidy, And the last question from Glasgow Brick Subway. When are you going to make a rake of Lucasade tankers? So this is coming from the person who has a bunch of tanker wagons with Iron Brew liveries on them, and they all supposedly carry Iron Brew. Recently, when I went to the Bristol Harbour side, and I did a small vlog on, I came across a tanker wagon that was designed to carry sulfuric acid, and that was pretty cool. I never knew that tankers and wagons as a whole were designed to be able to carry anything and everything. So, in a way, in your own twisted, weird, convoluted way, you can have them carry raw drinks like this. It would never work, but I suppose you could. But yeah, I'm thinking, I could probably build it in orange, take off the wrapper off a bottle, and just use that to wrap parts of the actual tanker itself. I might have to get some smaller bottles for it to work, but I suppose I'll have to buy them as well. But I don't know. Oh, that's interesting because that could actually work in a way that's much more better than I realized. Because one of the perks of being in the LNUR, or LUKR, I should say, because that's the modern name for it, we have something called private owner wagons, and a number of wagons are made and put forward to decide as what's the club wagon for that year. This year, a tanker wagon was selected, so I could make. No, it's LNUR still. It'll be what I want to call it, Miller. It's LUK LSUR. There you go. LSUR. I'm gonna go with that one. Done deal. But anyway, for this year, the club wagon is a tanker. So I could probably follow the instructions, grab the bricks for an orange sort of cylinder piece, and boo, yeah, I know. Blame Henry. So I could probably get some orange pieces and kind of design it and style it to have Lucasade decals on it. That'd be really interesting. I'm actually gonna put a pin in that because that would be really cool to try out. So that was everything from Glasgow Brick Subway. The next lot of questions come from user Mike's Bricks, who is also an LUKR member. See, now if this was pre-recorded, that little bit would have been cut out. Anyway, have you ever thought about rebuilding your Caledonian 812? Technically, I have, in the form of Douglas. It was a model that I did 6 wide a few years ago, and it was recently rebuilt in the form of Douglas. 7 studs wide. It's still a really small engine, and I don't know why it's so small. I mean, technically it's correct proportionally, but the tender's so low down, the boiler's it's so squashed and condensed. It looks like it should be bigger, but it isn't. I don't know, maybe it's just something I'm not quite used to because I do build larger tender engines, and the 812 is a bit more of an alien design for me, but at the same time, I have technically done so in the form of a Thomas character. And that's something else I've been able to technically get away with as well when it comes to characters like Oliver and Duck, for example. 2 Great Western tank engines I've thought about building in the past, but now I have them in the form of the Thomas characters. So in a way, I won't build them again because I have the Thomas versions, which naturally online, they are more popular. Next one is, what is your least favorite episode of Thomas and Friends? This is interesting because I've been on a Thomas binge recently. I've taken a break from that Thomas binge because I got to season 8 and powered through it. I got to season 9 and I'm about a dozen or so episodes, about a dozen episodes in at least. And I've stopped because I can't keep watching. Season 8 and 9, it's not good. I'm not looking forward to anything in the Miller era because she was a shit writer. There's nothing you can say to justify her era because it's genuinely one of the worst. But a specific episode, I don't think I can really pick out because I don't really remember watching many individual episodes until recently when I did that binge. But so far, there's a few from season 8 and 9 that are proper stinkers. And anything that, tell you what, any episode that includes the Misty Island engines, they're the worst because Neil, I really explain more. Misty Island engines, proper shit. Oh, Miller, you're gonna like this one. Mike's next question is, what is your favorite Fallout game? Well, for me, honestly, it's Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was that the first Fallout game I played? I remember playing Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 very close together. I think Fallout 4 was the first one I played because of the PC I had at the time. What was it? It might have actually been Fallout 3 that I played first. Boo, yeah. Remember what I said in the Discord server? Alien, what's it called? Mothership Zeta. That's it. The Alien DLC. That's my favorite DLC, and that's part of why Fallout 3 is my favorite of the Fallout games. But I think Fallout 3 was what I actually played first because I had it on my Xbox 360. But overall, again, kind of because of the Mothership Zeta DLC, I think Fallout 3 in turn is my favorite Fallout game. So there we go. I wouldn't be surprised if you want to rage quit the stream now, Miller. Let me have a quick catch up with chat as well. Let's just see. Message has been held for review. Oh, I see. It's supposed to be like an emoji face. New Vegas all the way. That's Niagara guy. There you go, Miller. You got a friend in chat for you. They only ever made series 1 of TT and then they stopped. When are you making Henry? I've already made Henry. I've made the Henry Thomas character out of Lego. Me saying blame Henry, that's something else, more so club related. Cough, cough. Lava tanker. Cough, cough. Oh, it could just be a massive lava lamp. That would be cool. That would be a lava tanker design I'd love to see. Okay, back to the questions, more from Mike's Bricks. Would you say your skills have improved since starting the Lego Train hobby? Very much so. Thinking back to early 2016, 2015, maybe even, thinking of all the simpler designs I had, where I remember a red tank engine that I built. This must have been 2016 because that's when the Thomas film The Great Race came out. Ashima was a very interesting design, and I thought, you know what, something a bit flamboyant that I'd like to try and make. And I remember making a red tank engine on a similar sort of design. And but yeah, even then, looking back to all those years ago, looking up to what I've been able to build today, especially with all the 7-wide stuff, yes, very much so. And it's even quite obvious at some steps that my skills have improved. Going from custom designs to 6-wide versions of real locomotives to the 7-wide versions to then 7-wide versions with lining, because lining changes everything for a model. It's beautiful. And the final question from Mike's Bricks. Any thoughts on All Engines Go, which is the Thomas reboot? It's just the worst. I mean, you don't need my opinion because it's going to be the same as a great many people. If Audrey was alive today and he saw All Engines Go, he'd be suing the shit out of Mattel. No second chance about that. Okay, the next 2 questions come from user Gus the Bus. First question is, how is your day going? My day has been quite slow today, to be honest. I mean, I've basically been waiting to do this live stream. Earlier today, I was all the way down there as well. But basically today I've been doing some revising as well for my driving theory test, which is quite exciting, getting closer to be able to actually drive a car. But also I've been recharging some... Can I reach it from here? Ooh, kind of. No, not really. Never mind. Okay, I was going to grab a battery recharger because my Coronation Express coaches, to anyone who doesn't know, there are 6 motors in total, and that also means 6 battery boxes. I now have rechargeable batteries in all those battery boxes, so I've basically spent all day recharging them because I also learned that rechargeable batteries kind of diminish over time, kind of gradually, which is something I genuinely never knew before. But it's not like a sudden drop. You go a week without using them, it's just flat. It's not that case. But yeah, I thought it'd be wise to kind of top them all up because I've had these for a while, and yesterday was the first time I actually used them for running the coaches on a loop. And yeah, it's also kind of a bit startling because when you plug the charger in, it makes a beeping noise to let you know it's going. And when it finishes, it makes another beeping noise. So every now and then I'll hear a beeping noise behind me, like, what the hell is that? Oh yeah, it's the batteries, they're done. So yeah, Quiet day, but this makes the day worthwhile because this stream is the most fun thing going. Have you considered making valve gear for your locos? I have, but I think this also comes into play with using thin rods. Recently, I've made a purchase to get some thin rods just to play around with them and replace the thick ones I've got on one of my car locos, the main red one specifically. But being able to make valve gear, you've got to have hooks coming out where they can all connect to certain rods. You've got to go out a little bit wider as well. Make sure it can all connect to the actual cylinders themselves. I've never been able to replicate anything like that because, again, it demands that you use thin rods and also a kind of specific design. So I could definitely see myself giving that a go one day, but I'd have to definitely spend a whole week going through different designs, planning it all out, making sure it's all smooth. I might have to get in touch with Trace, who is again a fellow club member, who has a number of locos with some good valve gear. So this next question comes from user Ed the Shed. What width do you build to as a standard and why? For me, it's 7 wide at the moment, but if I was able to kind of do things over, like redo the last 2 years, I would have built my engines to 8 studs wide. When I built my Princess Royal, it was 8 studs wide because it was an engine I built before, but it was a loco I had also previously built at 7 wide. Looking at it, I thought I'd like to have that engine again, but seeing the 7 wide version, I don't know if I should do it that way. So I went one wider, and at 8 wide, it's gorgeous. It really, really does work. So for me at the moment, I'm building 7, or I have built 7 wide as a standard. But I think if I was going to upgrade my locos at some point, maybe eventually, 8 studs wide is the way to go. Absolutely. Oh, pardon me. Right, just before we carry on, time to catch up with the chat. My challenger isn't looking so good right now. That's fair, so like New Vegas. Hoping. No, he still doesn't build diesels, so his skills have stopped. Yeah. I'll build one day. It's still going to be a long way away, but I might still build one. Will your first car be a diesel? Well, I might get eventually I might try and get a car that's electric because the price of petrol's been going crazy. I'm going to make a quick video on your Challenger before scrapping it. Yeah, fair enough. Okey-doke. Let's carry on with the Q&A now that we've caught up with chat. So this next question comes from user Odd Hunter Triple Z. Do you still like the Lego Mayan Train series? Yes, I still like the series because of what it offers. Individual wagons that can be bought on their own. The locos themselves, whilst they're very much of their time, they still look quite nice, especially to some of the models that you see in modern city sets. That's a bit unfair in the sense that city sets only have sort of diesel and electric engines, but even then, the detail that you saw in the Mayan Train series, both with the wagons and the locomotive for that matter, it's such an amazing thing to see. It's kind of expensive if you're going to buy a set, especially if it was only second hand. You're probably better off trying to get your own bricks for them and make your own versions that way. They definitely kind of hold up to the test of time because as sets they're good, but naturally mocks are going to be better. So that is everything from the Odd Hunter. Let me just make sure I'm not mixing things up with who's coming next. Yeah, okay, we're good. Right, so this next pair of questions come from one of my Discord mods. That's Niagara Guy, or otherwise on YouTube is The Train Fan. Or it's one or the other, but yeah, same person. What type of bread do you like? All of them. Bread is good eats. I'm not particularly fond of any bread that has a lot of seeds in it. Some seeded breads, that's fine, but too much, it's too distracting to the taste. And his other question is, can I give you a sandwich? So long as that sandwich has some meat, some cheese, some rice, and some hot sauce. Yeah, go on then. These next two questions come from R32 fan. What do you think of James May? I liked him as a presenter of Top Gear. That's all I really know him for. I know that he's also done a few things for the BBC, like toy programs. That's what they are basically. His double O gauge model train episode was really cool. Like his race where he did British models against German models. That was a very fun episode as well. But yeah, I like him as a presenter. I don't have any personal opinions on him besides that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. His other question is, what is your dream car? For the longest time, it was the Pagani Zonda R. Oh, when I watched the Top Gear episode where that car was reviewed, the sound, the roaring sound of the engine and the overall shape, it's such a beautiful machine. Absolutely love that car. It's like one of one now, I think, but even then, for what that is, oh, that's good. But that's a dream car. I think if I was going to actually get a reasonable car, this is something I was supposed to have looked up as well. Volvo cars. There's a certain Volvo, I believe, where it was also used in a number of Top Gear challenges. But it's something that has, oh, this car in particular has a sort of big boot. It's a fairly old one as well. I haven't done anything car related. I used to be a car nerd, but I haven't done anything car related in years. So sadly, I don't know what the name of this is. But it's basically a car that has a relatively big boot, or at least a back area. And for me, that's a car I want to get because with all the boxes I have full of Lego, if I'm going to take all that to Lego shows, I'm going to need space in the boot. So in terms of actual dream cars to want to get, that's the car in particular I want to go for. I don't. It's not an easy thing to find. Top Gear Evolve. Let me see if I can quickly find it through another cheap Google search. The 940, the classic 940. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, the 940, the Volvo 940. That's the one I'm thinking of. It looks like it was genuinely a really good performer too. If I can find one relatively cheap, that'll be genuinely a really nice car to try and keep a hold of. Give it a clean out on the inside, give it as much space in the boot as possible, and yeah, that's the car I'd actually like to go for. All right, pardon me, just one moment. I am. Oh, I can feel my nose dripping. I can feel my brain dripping out my nose, for that matter. Oh my goodness, terribly sorry about that. Nobody really wants to see somebody wiping their nose. So Glasgow Brick Subway just said, Luke, surely your dream car is an Audi A4. You can get a blue one and call it Mallard. Oh, really? Don't tempt me. I would definitely paint my car in LMS, like red with yellow stripes, because I'm such a moron like that. So, an Audi, you've definitely made that joke in chat as well, or at least somewhere else, especially with diesel engines and diesel locomotives. You nerd. Magic Guy Studios, hello. Have you seen the Batman? No, I haven't seen the Batman film, sadly, but I do want to see Secrets of Dumbledore and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Those two films I really want to try and get into the cinema to see, at least before they get to DVD. Oh, itchy nose. Right, carrying on. Now on to the next question by user Terrier77. Would you consider doing anything model related in the future, as in model railway related? I've been asked this question a number of times in the past, and the potential for it is there. I've got Hornby Thomas models, and we do have, or we should have some model track. Yeah, we should have some model track because my dad went through some old double O gauge track pieces that he was basically never used them, and he sold them all off a number of weeks ago. Got some good money for it, but I don't know if that means we've still got loose track now. I think we've still got some from sets, but individual track pieces might be a bit more difficult to get a hold of. So I doubt it, but if push comes to shove, I could try it one day in the future. That would be very interesting to try because it's very different content. These next questions now come from user Wolf the Train Guy. First question here is, what would your next cosplay be if you ever make another one? I would probably work on another version of Captain Britain. Oh, let me just get rid of that notification. There we go. So, yes, I think Captain Britain would be something else to kind of go back to and modify one day. I don't really want to make any more costumes because the Captain America style of costume is what I've really ever gotten used to making. so many craft projects at one time is really overwhelming, and I think that's also why I'm so impatient. So many Lego stuff I want to do, so many cosplay things I want to do. It all kind of adds up. It's like, okay, I know I can do this bit quickly, so I want to do this bit quickly. And yeah, I think that's also why I got turned off from making props and cosplay now. Oh, pardon me. But yes, I think another version of my Captain Britain suit in the future would be what my next cosplay would be. Probably try and use elements of my existing one, but to basically make it beefier, like more armored. That'd be a very interesting take to take this character now. Very interesting take for this character. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna see Sonic the I'm gonna see Sonic the Hedge Fund tomorrow. That's a good title. What Thomas engine will you make next? I have no idea. There's so many Thomas characters I could make, but none of them really are inspiring enough for me to want to make them. Arthur and there was another few, like Salty, I think the other one was on the list for a while, but again, evidently I haven't gotten around to making it. You're gonna go see you saw Sonic yesterday. It's really good. Oh, that's good. What's your thoughts on Marvel's What If Peggy Carter? Love it, and I love the What If episodes as a whole. The Peggy Carter episodes, because they're more Captain America themed and focused, that's definitely one that I favor more so. But yeah, definitely a good series. Back to the Q&A, another one from Wolf the Train Guy. What is your favorite model that you've built? Assuming that it's a Lego train model, then it would be one of the Coronation models, because these are models that I have favored above all the other ones. Emerald Champion and the other Giants are definitely up there, but they're more so in the past now, so I don't really favor them as much as I would today. But in terms of actual models, I haven't really done anything proper model related for a very long time. I think the last thing I handcrafted was some of the prop stuff, but even then, that's more props than models. So that side, I don't think I can necessarily answer. But in terms of Lego models, definitely the Coronation and the Full Express, the whole thing that's made, even the box. You can see the box there, right? That is probably its own project as well, and that's definitely something I'm very happy with. Next question is, what are your favorite Tugs and Thomas characters? For Tugs, it's Billy Shoepack. I love his little chaotic self, and I love that he's still a tugboat, and it's still, it fits in the world, but he's a tiny one amongst all these massive tugboats. If you put Billy next to Hercules, Hercules will probably try and still have his way to kind of say to Billy, don't mess with me, without saying, don't mess with me. But Billy would just look at Hercules and go, and just carry on his own. That'd be very interesting scene to see. And for Thomas, it's Spencer. I love Spencer. And when it came to making the Lego version of Spencer, I kind of just bolster that even more. I definitely watched some Spencer episodes before and after making the Lego model. So yeah, Billy Shoepack and Spencer. Next question is, do you have any pets? Not currently, and we haven't had any pets for a long time. We had fish and hamsters, but that's basically it. Simple pets, kind of early pets that don't really stick around for more than a year, I suppose. But after a while, we didn't really want to have pets anymore. I'm someone who would not want pets personally. When I grow up and move out to kind of have my own place, I'm going to be the only living thing in my house, basically, which isn't the nicest thing to say. I'm not exactly anti-pets either. I just don't want pets in my own personal life. So, yeah. Next question is also, how's it going? It's going very well. Going back to the question that was mentioned earlier by, where was it? Who asked the how you doing question earlier? Was it? Oh, I can't find it. But yeah, again, like I said earlier, good day, very good stream at the moment, so things are going very well. And his final question is, do you have any custom minifigures? Yes, I got this ready just for this stream. I have 3 sig figs, which translates to signature minifigures, and here they are. So because I have 3, I have them in this Lego, this Lego shop minifigure thingy, whatever you want to call it. And if I actually open the box to show you one at a time, because that will make things a bit easier. 2 of them are club related, and one of them is Triton Lego Railway related. So this one is just, it's going to be a bit blurry, I do apologize. But this basically just says TLR on the torso. And these 2 are club ones, where they are much better prints. One is a bit further forward than the other, but we can see one of them has LNUR written on it, and the other one is supposed to say LSUR, representing the southern chapter of the club, And it also says Lego Southern UK Railway Fundraiser 2021. I even had to read what that said because I couldn't remember off by heart. But all the same, these are Train Club Sig Fig torsos. And yeah, I've got 3 of them. So I'm going to put these back in this little packaging. I also have this pinned to the wall behind me, sort of underneath the target, so about there. It's just a space where it kind of fills a gap, and it's also on display, out of the way at the same time. Very cool stuff. So yeah, 3 custom figures. Lovely. Next question is by user The Top Hat Engine. What are your thoughts on the Beatles? I am not so much of a music person. I don't have any one particular type of music that I enjoy listening to. I'll enjoy something for a while and eventually I'll get bored of it. Normally, I enjoy theme songs to stuff, so the Ben 10 theme song in particular. Some of the character themes for Thomas, that's something I can enjoy listening to every now and then. The Tugs theme, of course, because that's a beautiful piece. But no one band or musician really has my interest. Um, I won't go any further into that because there is another music related question that's coming up later on. So for now, thoughts on the Beatles. You know, they were popular, I suppose. So yeah, no opinion either way because I never really listened to their music. Ringo Starr, however, I suppose he's a bit more famous and popular with Thomas fans, me being one of them, because he narrated the first 2 seasons. So yeah, that's all I can really provide, sadly. Now we have a lot of questions coming in by user Seth Brecht. I wonder if Seth has woken up in time to watch the stream. He might be a bit upset if he wakes up and he realizes all of his questions were answered and he missed it. So, scratch my back one sec. Okay. Why do you use brick-built rods for your engines? It's mainly because when it comes to buying the thin rods, I was always too afraid I would get the wrong size rod. And there have been a number of, well, not so much a number of times, but a few times in the past where club members would buy rods from, what's the, Train Bricks? I think it's called Train Bricks, the only other option at the moment. Now we have Brecklin Bricks here in the UK, who was also a club member. Shout out to him. So, at the Train Brick stuff, a few members said, oh, I bought some rods here and they chipped, they got broken in a few areas. They sent me the wrong size. I thought, well, great. If I go to buy some rods for them, am I going to get the wrong ones on purpose? If I accidentally order the wrong size, is that going to be amended in some stupid way? So yeah, it was a massive turnoff because orders were not going right. So for the longest time, I thought, you know what? It's cheaper to brick build them as well, so I'll just do it that way. Why not? Oh, pardon me again. Oh, but like I mentioned earlier as well, I have now finally bought some thin rods for my Coronation locomotive, again from Brecklin Bricks here in the UK, so getting them should be nice and quick and easy. Next question, why are there not many diesels in your collection? Going back to a question that was answered earlier, I'm not too big of a fan of diesels. I'm not anti-diesel, it's just diesels aren't interesting enough for me to want to build them. It's a bit of a sad thing, but even then, with all the Lego trains I've built over the years, I'm kind of drained and exhausted when it comes to train building anyways. So if I do build a diesel, it will be a miracle nowadays. What tips do you have for making layouts surrounded by nature? I would definitely say be careful with the greenery. You can do things like having embankment and you can add flowers, but there's only so much you can add before it gets overwhelming. You can add trees and some shrubbery, but if you're going to have a mountain of flowers and brick built trees and that sort of thing in one sort of condensed area, if you want to expand that, you might have to stretch that out a bit and that will make it look better. But in that one condensed space, it could look like something it's going a bit too far. There are shrubbery places in real life where it all looks kind of condensed and messy, but so long as there is a real life reference that you can look at it and go, oh yeah, it reminds me of this place, that will make sense. But because it's all going to be brick built, just be a bit careful with where you're placing things, basically. That's the kind of key thing I would say. I've not really done too much nature or greenery themed parts of my layout. I've kind of kept it really simple, but even then, I feel like what I've got is plenty enough, really. Also, building on green base plates really does help. What inspired you to start doing Lego trains? Well, if anything, it was the thing I was good at making. So this kind of goes back to YouTube history, I suppose. Um, So I was a kid and I enjoyed watching Thomas, so trains kind of stuck around with me because of Thomas. And when it came to making Lego stuff, my first custom things were cars. Think the first two Fast and Furious films where they got crazy paint jobs, massive spoilers, chrome wheels. They'd have nitrous coming out those kind of cars basically. I nicknamed them street racers, and that's what I did for a while. And then I thought, you know what, making trains, that sounds fun. Let's make a train. Why not? So I started making trains and I started posting them on YouTube. I then got an Emerald Knight set, and I said to my dad, I want to put two of these sets together to make one big one. Would you mind giving me a hand? And we spent an evening putting a pair of Emerald Knight sets together, and thus the first version of the Emerald Champion was made. So that's kind of what got me going. It's because I thought, you know what, I want to put two of these Emerald Knight sets together. Let's see what we can make. That's what really got me going into making Lego trains. And going forward, trains were the only thing I could actually make out of Lego that looked good. The whole railway life thing is one thing, but I'm not someone who could spend all day lecturing you about, oh, the steam is boiled here and it goes, the water is injected into this part of the boiler and the steam goes here and that's how the no. I'm not someone who could do that. I like how trains work. I'm good at building them. That's how it really started, and that's still why I build trains today. I'm not a hardcore train buff. I just like them. So I'm going to carry on in just a moment. Let's have a quick catch up with chats because a number of new comments were coming through. So Glasgow Brick Subway, make a diesel. Yeah, I wonder where that came from. Make Harvey. That was also on the to build list, but again, that has been kind of cut off for now. What was the first Lego train you made? The only one I can remember making was the Emerald Knights, at least from a set. Custom ones were simple blue and red tank engines, but sets wise, Emerald Knights. Just made a video scrapping my Challenger locomotive. Time to finish taking it apart completely. Well, here's to hoping that Challenger gets rebuilt into a much nicer model. Jack Taylor, hey Luke, just dropping in to drop a few Nerf questions to warm up for the big one later. If you want to put them in the chat, that will be fine because I can come back to them later on. In the turn order of questions I've got, your Nerf questions are sadly right at the end. It's not so much because I wanted them to be at the end, it was because your questions came through later. So if you want to add to that and put them in the chat now, that's fine. I'll add them to the end because of how many questions. Well, it wasn't so much how many questions you had, it was how much you had condensed into one question. So yeah, we'll do that. Big, bruising, and intimidating versus small fat. Yeah. Okay, I'll save that for later. Let me copy and paste that over. Hang on. Copy. Paste. There we go. Right, so back to the questions by Seth Bricht. Where are we? We are at this one. Would you consider making a Garrett based off an actual Garrett locomotive? So I've made, how many have I made? I think I've only ever made one Garrett. It was a version of Big Red that I made in the past. It was obviously a custom fictional design, but that's the only one I can remember making. It was a very interesting time to build a Garrett as well, because it's a real design, but I was making a bunch of custom stuff. So how do I mix these two quirky things together? It worked, obviously, but yeah, it was also a very interesting time. I suppose a Garrett. Oh dear, bad idea. So the LMS and the LNER both made attempts at making a Garrett. Of the big four, my personal favourite is LMS. Need I really say why? But since the LMS made a Garrett, I suppose if I am going to make one, I suppose that's something I could try. British Bricks has made an LMS Garrett as well, which I'm absolutely in love with. So I think, if anything, the LMS Garrett will be the real one I would try. There are more out there, like the Bayer Peacock ones. There's some South African ones. There's some American ones, I believe, or at least Northern American. I don't know if US specifically, but yeah, that was a very interesting thing to kind of take. When I first saw a Garrett locomotive for the first time, I thought it's an articulated engine, but there's two tenders on the outside. I can make that. So yeah, that was a very fun thing to give a try. Are there any new LEGO train builders you see rising to the top? Well, this is quite interesting because I don't believe that the LEGO train community is sort of flowing. Well, there's definitely, again, there's loads of Facebook groups which are dedicated to LEGO trains, and you do see a number of posts every day, but you do see a lot of the same people making posts. You could definitely debate that with me as well, with all the videos I'm making on YouTube. But there are lots of builders that are sort of getting into the hobby and are relatively new, but they're already really good at building with Lego. So Seth, you yourself are showing to be really good when it comes to putting bricks together. In your Discord server, I also saw somebody compare you to British Bricks. That's a very fair and genuine response because you genuinely do know what you're doing when it comes to that. So yeah, Seth, you are definitely one of the people who are kind of rising, or not so much rising, but you're on your way to becoming one of the pinnacle, proper, master detail builders. You really, Liam Biggs as well. He's someone who is in my server who, God, he's talented. He is so talented. Mutant Gibbs as well, because this guy has, I believe it's Mutant Gibbs that made the Thomas models, and these are sort of realistic takes of the models. But again, this is a model where there's valves and details and pipes out the wazoo. I look at those models and go, how the hell is that little piece where it is? What is it connected to? How do you do that? Because it's magic. It's just magic. This is also someone who has made a version of Thomas the Tank Engine and has instructions on Rebrickable, I believe it is. So yeah, that's definitely something to check out. And we also have a number of younger members in the LUKR, and they are definitely on the rise because they're excited and passionate to build Lego trains. It's going to take some time for them to perfect and refine their skills, but they definitely know how to build a damn good train. So to the younger members of the LUKR, I give a shout out to you as well because you're going to have a bright future ahead of you when it comes to Lego Railways. Chat's also got a bit more exciting again. Let's see who's coming in. I can wait, it's no problem. I can enjoy the stream anyway. Oh, that's good. Doesn't the double fairly count as a Garrett? No, because the double fairly is a double fairly. The Garrett itself is a different design of locomotive. But I do see what you mean, though, in terms of the articulation. Did you see the whole thing with the Reading 1202? 2102, rather. No, I did not. If you want to add a few more details in the chat for me to read in a moment, you can do. I suppose it's good news. I can only hope it's good news. It's not a locomotive that was preserved and was scrapped, was it? I can only hope not. Some more stuff for later on. I'll copy and paste that over. I've got a big mound of remnants of my Challenger on your bed. Oh dear. And Chuma, hello. Good to see you made it to the live stream. How are you doing? You'll send me a pic on Discord, I'm assuming then, because but if it's going to be like that, then that doesn't sound good. That does not sound good. Something bad has happened to it. Let's get those over there. Back on with the questions by Seth Bright. If you could take a train ride to anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? I don't really know. Let's assume this is Polar Express style and the train has tracks that could go literally anywhere, over ice, over water. There's a bridge that just materializes wherever it is you want to go. Ooh, that's the notification from my moderator there. So yeah, I think if anything, it would be one of the more remote areas in the world, just like a smaller island where it's just so peaceful. You can see nature doing its thing, basically. Somewhere where it's out of the way of people, I think would be a nicer place to go. Jolts King, that's another one of my Discord moderators. Hello, good to see you. Miller, what are you on about? Any train in the world? So he just said any train. If no, hang on, it was take a train to anywhere in the world. So well, even then, I suppose that works. You can take any train to anywhere in the world. Take the Glasgow subway train around Glasgow subway. Oh, would you now? How original! And you can see that trip on Glasgow Live. Right, where were we? So yeah, that would be my answer. Just somewhere more remote, somewhere where it's you could stop there for the day and it'd be nice and peaceful. That'd be good. What is your favorite non-British steam engine? It would be one of the American giants, one of the American multiplex engines, like the Allegheny 2666, the Big Boy, the Challenger, the Yellowstone. These are a few locomotives that I've seen in Lego form, which is what also kind of turns me onto them. Tony Sava's Allegheny in particular, it's 15, at least 15 years old, but goddamn, that's still a good looking model. And I think the wheel arrangement too is why I'm so turned on to that model as well, because again, a nice big massive American engine, but it's got such a demanding presence in terms of its overall shape. So I'll probably go for any one of the particular American articulated steam locos, but I think the Allegheny would just be a bit above, or any of the American streamliners, because hot damn do they have some style. Next question is, have you ever tried Vegemite? Technically yes, because in the UK we don't have Vegemite, we have Marmite, but they're basically the same thing, and yes, I have tried it and I do enjoy it, but it's something I have kind of on toast. I don't really have it with sandwiches, that's not really my sort of thing. If there's ever a time I go to have toast, I'll have Marmite on it, and that's basically, I mean, again, I'm not so much I say I'm not crazy with it, but there was one time many years ago where I was kind of getting a bit experimental with Marmite. This is going to sound really bad, but just brace yourself. One time only, just the one time, so I'm not that much of a monster. I had Marmite in a burger. I'll let you reminisce on that response right there. Again, only once I ever did that, but that is a thing I've definitely done, and I would never do that again, because looking back, good lord, what was I on? What is your favorite model you currently have? I believe we had that question earlier, and again, in terms of Lego models, my streamlined coronations. And the final from him: what is your favorite model you used to have and wish to rebuild one day? Favorite model that I used to have would probably be my W1. When I built my W1 Hush Hush over 2 years ago, for a good while, it was the only Lego W1 that was seen online. And a few more have come out since then, but I think it was also because it was such a unique shape. Fellow club member Joe, who runs Breckland Bricks, has a version of the W1. Ewart Rolling, who won Best Steam Locomotive globally in the Brick Train Awards, he has a W1 which looks gorgeous, proper massive wheels as well. So I think if I was going to rebuild one, it would probably be the W1, but I'm not fond of rebuilding past models. I think it gets to a point where if I choose to scrap it, it's because I don't want it anymore. It's a rare occasion for me to rebuild models. Think the Princess Royal, for example. But I think, yeah, I think the W1 would be a model that I would rebuild one day. It's probably going to be a long while before that day arrives, but probably will be the most likely. Our next load of, hang on, just before we go on to the questions, how did people react to Marmite and a burger? Tuma, experimental with crying faces. Yeah, that's a bit dodgy. Jock King also says, you'll be in and out, currently standing and doing some epoxy putty, working on an integration. Ooh, what's the integration? Are you allowed to tell us, or would you rather it was a surprise? I suppose we'll find out in a few moments. Right, back to the questions, as we have our next load of... Oh, it has nearly been an hour as well. You're a monster. Yeah, I know. Again, this was years ago, one time. Don't judge me. Don't go in chat. I don't want to go into chat after the live stream and you call me something like the Marmite Burger Monster or something like that, okay? We're not doing that. Next bunch of questions from the LNER Fish. First question is, do you think you will make a train persona for yourself? Not really. I kind of put that in your head. It was kind of on purpose, but it's more so depending how the other people are going to react. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. You don't know what Marmite is? Marmite is Vegemite, a yeast extract, basically. Very specific taste. The sussy burger man. Disgusting, despicable. Yeah. I know. Will I ever make a train persona for myself? Not really. I mean, I'm not really one for that sort of thing. There'll be times where I'll kind of just be alone for a moment, like today, for example. I'm not doing too much, so I'll kind of daydream about being in a train, but I won't picture myself being like a Thomas character, for example. Not really that sort of thing. Let me just, where's my drinks over here? I can feel my throat going a bit dry. We are almost 1 hour in. It's going to be 8 o'clock in about 5 minutes, and that would be the usual time I start my streams. Good thing I started early then, huh? Good lord. Wow, lovely stuff. Still not sponsored. Lucasade, get in touch. I will shill your product. Ooh, I hate you guys. Next question. Do you like Five Nights at Freddy's? Yes. It is a very remarkable franchise. To see where it came from 8 years ago to what it is now. God, it's so different. When Five Nights at Freddy's first came out, I was watching Markiplier's videos on the video game. I got so obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's. There was maybe a week, like a few days to a week, where I had nightmares about Five Nights at Freddy's, where the animatronics were coming to kill me. I've never been one for nightmares before. Like, I've never really had that sort of thing happen for me. But I made myself so obsessed with it, where it kind of affected my dreams, and it was horrifying. Good lord. Next question is, will you build the Reboot Thomas? No, because I don't like Reboot Thomas, but that would be an interesting thing to see in Lego form. Do you see yourself making videos with the game Trains? No, because I'm not a video game YouTuber. I don't really play video games anymore. I only ever play Left 4 Dead. Oh, pardon me again, that's number 3. So again, the only game I play nowadays is Left 4 Dead. I did try playing with Train Simulator over a year ago, I think it was. But the controls I couldn't get used to. It's just, you know, not having that. And even then, when I was playing it, I thought, why am I playing with a simulated version of a locomotive when I have it in Lego form? It's just, no, what's the point? I have the physical model. Let's play with that. What do you think about starting a Minecraft server? I haven't played Minecraft in years. I do have it on PC. I'll do, I don't know, let's say 20 hours of mining and crafting and building a house. And when it gets to that, that's basically done. I haven't done any proper creative mode stuff for ages, you know, just like crafting sculptures, that sort of thing, in genuine years. But yeah, Minecraft, making a Minecraft server for my fan base, it's pointless. It's only going to be for a few people. I'm not going to be a part of it either, and it's not something I'm going to do, sadly. What is the biggest locomotive you have made that is scrapped or not? So it is technically the Emerald Champion. I don't remember what version of the Emerald Champion was the longest, because version 20, which was the last version, I think came to 168 or 169 studs. And there was a version in the past where it was using 2XL drive wheels, which I believe came to 170? Something similar. I can't remember which version was longer, but it was definitely the Emerald Champion, but nothing came close. Let's also have a quick catch up with chat. So there's all of the yeah, nobody likes Marmite in a burger. Let's move on from that. So the integration is a Retaliator and Defender T3 upper half. Defender T3. What is that? Ooh, that looks good. I like how planes show up. Hang on, let's type in Nerf Defender T3. That looks like an old blaster. That better be plentiful enough for you to sacrifice one of them. That looks pretty good, though. I like the shape. Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to see you make. What about US Flying Scotsman on that one show I'm still doing? On what show? I have seen a video, Unlucky Tugs Flying Scotsman US tour. That's a good video to watch. Did you play the new Markiplier interactive thing, the In Space with Markiplier? I know it's there, but I haven't actually gotten around to watching it yet. I do need to dedicate the time to watching In Space with Markiplier, because the last one he did, like the animatronic interview thing, that was really cool. Going on, I can make a Luke Triton Minecraft skin. A Luke Triton, what would be on the torso? That'd be interesting to see. Tell you what, if you want to make a Luke Triton Minecraft skin, have LMS style yellow stripes on the torso. That's what I want to see. If you're going to do that, do it that way. Is the Nerf Recon Tactical Light or Nerf Modulus? I think that's another one for the Nerf bulk at the end. Let's get that copied and pasted down there. There we go. Defender is extremely comfy 2-in-1. Yeah, it's comfy, but is it common? Because if you're going to sacrifice an old blaster for an integration, it would be nicer and more generous if you were to actually use something that's a bit more common, or at least one that isn't so much that sought after. I only had the upper half. It was most definitely not mint, very damaged. The top scope was cracked off. Fair enough then. If it's already damaged, then that's not a problem. I'd need an image reference. Oh, hang on. Stream line coronation class front. Let's see if I can. You shouldn't. Well, you might know what I mean when I show you this. That's the picture. That's a good picture. Right, if I go to open in the tab, that should work. So if I post this in chat now, no, that's not going to work because that's way too long of a link. Oh, great. Oh my god, there's 13,000 characters in this link. What in the Nora? Hang on, let me clean this up before I carry on. This is not good. There we go. Oh, I can't even show you. You are in my server though, aren't you? So I'll tell you what, let me not that one. Let me save image as. We'll do this now and get this out of the way before we carry on with the Q&A. We have now officially passed 1 hour. It is now 8 o'clock here in merry old England. It's a good thing I started early. So where are we? Let's go to real trains. You are in my server, aren't you? If I go to... there you are. Okay. Where's... Oh, there. That's what I mean. Put that design on the torso, and then we'll have something special going on there. Right. Let's go back to the Q&A. Don't give me ideas. What do you mean don't give you ideas? It's just a good video to watch. 1 o'clock here in Utah. Well, 1 in the afternoon. Lovely time for a bit of lunch, I suppose. I've had my dinner. Where did we get to? We were... oh, bugger. Minecraft servers, craft online. Okay, I know. So next question, again, still from the user, the LNER Fish. What do you think of the GNR C1 Atlantic? Beautiful locomotive. Looks really cool. It's very interesting to see an Atlantic next to a Pacific, because obviously a Pacific design locomotive is something that we're a bit more accustomed to. But fellow club member Trace Pierce, or Pierce Bricks on YouTube and on Instagram, has made a fantastic model of this locomotive in Southern Umbra too. Go have a look because it's just amazing. But yeah, overall, it is a gorgeous locomotive in real life. Shame that none were preserved because it would be a very fascinating sight to see on railways. Do you like Sonic? Yes. I saw the first movie 2 years ago when it came out. I would like to try and see the sequel in the next few weeks. I played some of the games. Is it Sonic Generations, where like past Sonic and future Sonic kind of team up in a 3D game style? I played that for a bit. I got to the final boss. I couldn't beat the final Sonic boss, so I thought, sod this. There's a Sonic game on the Wii. I think it's called Sonic Generation. No, that's the one I just said. I can't remember what it's called, but it was very weird because that's another game where I got to a certain point and just couldn't get past it. I would complete the level, but it was not obvious what you had to do next. So, oh well. But yeah, I still like Sonic. Good stuff. Did you read Stone Toss before it got turned into Among Us? Now, this was a weird question, and I should have tried to get some elaboration on this. So, I'm assuming this is what Among Us was before it became Among Us. But when you say, did you read Stone Toss? I don't know what that means. So that's my fault for not asking for elaboration. But I also would not know what the previous iteration of Among Us would be before it was Among Us. What if the Emerald Champion in its biggest form was a real locomotive? Simply put, hot damn. The Eerie Triplex was a very difficult thing to move. Damn strong, like stronger than the big boy, obviously, but it could do very little. The pulling power was there, but it would snap couplers, so it was forced to push. So this would be the same thing, where it would be a forced pushing locomotive. But even then, how would you make it move? If it was going to run on Steam, good luck bringing this up to Steam for more than a minute. If it was real, it would just be hell. Do you play Roblox? No. This goes back to some of the video game questions we had earlier. Again, the only game I'm playing nowadays is Left 4 Dead. Even then, I don't really enjoy that. Roblox is a game I will never play anyways because it looks like the sort of thing that a lot of young people would play. And the last thing I want is a bunch of kids with their microphones on, kind of screaming stuff. When you're in a Call of Duty lobby and that kid just comes in, you instantly get pissed off. That's what will kind of go through my mind, and I don't really want to go through that either. So I probably am misjudging this, but at the same time, I'm not playing Roblox. In real world terms, what would the TLR Emerald Champion be used for? Similar to the question I answered a moment ago, it would probably just be a glorified shunter, but even then, good luck bringing that up to Steam because it's just massive. There we go, that's everything from the LNUR Fish. Next bunch of questions come from user RK, which I believe is also here in chat. RK, sound off if you're here. What is your opinion on industrial locomotives? They're good. They look good as well. There was an industrial locomotive that was okay, there he is in chat. Hello, good to see you still around. The W2 packet, the 4-1 specifically, does that class as an industrial locomotive? Either way, industrial, again, nothing so much positive or otherwise negative about industrial locomotives. I just haven't built that many of them. But I believe, if I saw correctly, the Peckett W2 tank engine should class as a industrial tank engine. The reason why I say that is because, well, it's part of the question, but it's also a locomotive that is built in the city that I live in, which is very fancy stuff. Let me get that other Nerf question on standby. Every now and then we're seeing a Nerf related question appear from Jack Taylor. Don't worry, I'm making sure they're all getting noted now. All the way back up. So next, do you like corn chips? Yeah, it's good stuff. I tend to, when it comes to, well, corn chips, basically Doritos, but they are corn chips. That's what they are. When I come to eating crisps, well, in the UK we call them crisps. I mean, I think in America you call them a bag of chips. For us, it's a bag of crisp. But what I do is I crunch them all down into little crumbs and I just pour them into my mouth. Like in 2 mouthfuls, I've eaten the entire bag in like a minute, compared to picking them out one at a time, how you normally would. I normally, if I'm not eating it that way, I normally tend to get a bunch of corn chips ready for a what's it called again? Oh god, what the bloody hell is it called? Nachos, that's it. I normally make myself a plate of nachos when it comes to eating some corn chips. I won't otherwise just eat them as they are. I try and make them more into a meal. But yeah, it's good eats. Have you considered making the BR Class 13? Miller, if you're still here, you should know what this is, right? Because is that what I think it is? The 13? Yes, it is. Miller, if you're still here, this is a question that you should absolutely be jumping over the moon for. So the Class 13 is basically 2 08s, i.e. Gronks, and they were put into a Master and... Yeah, he's here. A Class 13. I'll tell you what, Miller. I've already built a Gronk, but if I build another Diesel in the future, I'll do a 13. Sound good? Does that sound fair? We'll do it that way. That definitely seems interesting enough for me to want to do. It's when two wrongs love each other very much. I suppose so. Well, the formation is called master and slave, so I suppose one of them is a bit more dominant, shall we say. Josh, my good friend Josh, you have made it to the live stream. Hello, good to see you. Glad you were able to make it. So I'll tell you what, yeah, a class 13, I'll give that a go. Miller, you're going to have to remind me in the chat as well, because after the stream, I'll probably forget all about it. Oh, pardon me again. That's number 4. What is your favourite heritage and railway museum? Heritage Railway and Railway Museum. So the National Railway Museum in York here in England is a place I still haven't gone to yet. Not this chat, group chat. That's what I mean. Change my nickname in the group chat to say I need to build a Glass 13. Do that for me. Do you mind? I've muted the chats anyway to make sure there's no interference for the live stream. Anyway, back to the question. So, favorite railway museum? There's one in York here in the UK. It's the National Railway Museum. I haven't gone there yet. There was a weekend where my parents went there, and they just didn't tell me about the trip. I would have loved to have gone with them, but they left me behind. The cheeky turds. But yeah, that would definitely be my favorite because it's on home territory, I suppose. Favorite heritage railway is one that I have visited. It is called the Watercress Line. The Watercress. What is it actually? The Watercress Line Heritage Railway. Is that it? Is that the full name? The Watercress Line Heritage Railway is the marketing name for the Mid-Hants Railway. So yeah, that is a place I've gone to. I've also done a vlog with this where I had a ride in the cab of one of the locomotives, and that was a 2-hour sort of experience, I think. It was definitely more than 1 hour. Probably I would say 2 hours, I think. But yeah, that was a very fun time. I was a bit hesitant because I thought, hey, you're just going to be riding in the cab. Then I actually had a ride in the cab. I was like, oh my god, this is so much fun. So yeah, Watercress Line is my favourite just because it's one I've actually gone to and had a ride in the cab because it was very special indeed. Build a 13 or else. You're reminding me everywhere. Yeah, I suppose you're doing a good job of that. 10 years on YouTube. That's really nice. Yeah, it is. It's quite remarkable because for the first 7 or so years, it was half-assed. It's just a kid on YouTube. Hey, look at this thing I've got. Kind of uploads. It was only 2019, 2020 even onwards where I started to try and put a bit more professionality into some of my videos. Even in the last year, I suppose, are some of my best videos ever in terms of actual quality of the videos themselves. Jack's here with another Nerf question. I'll save that for later. What's with all the smiley faces on the end of these questions? I suppose it's fine to put the smiley face, but when it comes to actually copy and pasting them over, I am removing the smiley faces just so it's not going to cause issues with the Word document. There we go. Let's carry on. So we're all caught up with chat once again. We're going to carry on with the questions. Back to where are we? Back with some more questions by RK. How did you get interested in making Lego trains? I believe this, I got to go pub calling happy 10 years. All right, thanks for sticking around, Miller. It was fun to kind of talk with you on Discord too. That was a lot of fun to be able to kind of banter with you one-on-one again. So again, thanks for sticking around. I'll see you in due time. So, where are we? Again, another question by RK before I got distracted. How did you get interested in making Lego trains? This was something that I answered earlier, where Lego trains were one of the few things I was doing back in the day. I made cars and I made trains. Cars got boring. Trains I got good at. So I just went from there. So sadly, because I've already answered this question, that is basically answer enough. But even then, I would recommend that you kind of go through the VOD later on once this live stream is completed and kind of get the answer from there. Saves me having to repeat myself. Out of all the trends and memes throughout the internet history, what is your favorite or most memorable? I think Ugandan Knuckles was definitely one that kind of made me laugh. There was definitely not loads of VR chat videos that spawned on YouTube with Ugandan Knuckles, and that was really, really funny. It kind of came back to life as well with Sonic Movie 2, because there was definitely I saw some memes where it was, we've revived a meme, and it's you know that scene at least in the trailer where Knuckles is holding Sonic in his ball form, and it's Ugandan Knuckles basically in that moment. I'm not going to try and do the accent because I will get into a bit of trouble, I think. But yeah, Ugandan Knuckles is one of my more memorable ones. And in the past few weeks, I kind of drove myself a bit mad with the. I'm not going to try and do the accent because I don't want to make a fool of myself. But it's the somebody touched my spaghetti. I went a bit mad with myself, kind of making myself laugh with that, kind of repeating it over and over. This is what happens when you kind of keep yourself to yourself. You watch weird videos and then you spend a whole day going mad with stupid memes. But yeah, that's what I could say with that question. Next question is, what do you think of the 1922 Northwestern Railway Atlantic scandal? I think that's very cool storytelling. It's a way of working Henry into a different story to keep the character, and it being a scandal in a kid's book, that's really cool because it's also railway related. There's some good lore behind it, and again, the whole thing itself, I think it's just so cool. Love it. And his last question is, what is your favourite heritage railway? But again, that was answered earlier on with your favourite heritage railway and museum question. Again, that is the Watercress line because that is the only one I've gone to, and I had a ride in the cab. Oh, let's just take a quick moment to breathe and have a quick stretch because I can feel the side of my chest along there kind of feeling a bit bruised. Don't know what's really caused that, but that feeling's become a lot more prominent in the past few months. Oh, there we go. Let's have a drink as well, just to top up. We are now at 8:15. It's still a little bit bright outside. That's really cool. Oh, entering the summer months. Night times are going to get a bit more brighter. I'm very excited for that. This next question comes from a user called A Lego Thought. You might want to change that last bit because that does have a secondary meaning. When did you realize that you had so much room for improvements to your models? Thinking of the 2017 to 2018 models compared to the 2021 and 2022 models. I think the ultimate room for improvement was when I went to making custom models into making real models, because that's when I actually started to focus on real details. Because when I was making my giant, it was just boilers, flat running boards, wheels. Some detail was there, sure, but obviously it wasn't realistic. It was too custom. Making my 6 wide real locomotives, I was able to kind of look at it and go, okay, so the smoke box, or the firebox rather, has a bit of a slope to it. The smoke box is this shape. The smoke box door kind of needs to be positioned this way. The darts, of course, need to add smoke deflectors, and it all kind of came together. I thought, okay, I need to make sure I know how to build these details. And go from the 6 wide to the 7 wide again was another major improvement, but the ultimate jump, I would say, for me, pardon me, is not burping. It was when I decided to make the leap to making. Pardon me again. Now, that's terrible. Do apologize. Let's actually answer the question. The actual moment where I realized there was room for improvement was when I started making realistic models. There we go. These next two questions come from user Islington Brex. Why don't you like 8-wide engines? I do like 8-wide engines, and this kind of goes hand in hand with something that I answered earlier. I do like 8-wide engines. Going wider is definitely better because you can get more detail. Going from 7 to, or rather, going from 6 up to 7 wide, you get more detail in. But going 7 wide to 8 wide, that's even more detail. The only reason why I haven't upgraded all of my models to 8 wide yet is, first of all, my coronation coaches are 7 wide at the moment, and then I'd have to basically rebuild all those coaches to be 8 wide, which means completely rebuilding the roofs. I don't really want to do that. And all of the other models anyway have loads of trimline tape on them. Am I going to have to rebuild the boilers to be more appropriate to the scale? Because if I do, that's a lot of trimline tape I've got to take off and reapply, which means I might have to buy another roll, and that just gets more expensive and unnecessary. Needless to say, the tenders as well, because there might be some bricks that go sideways and I can't just cleanly take off the sides of the tender. So that's more trimline tape that I have to take off. So yeah, I don't dislike 8 wide models. I would love to try and make some more in the future. If I do make new models, I would definitely make them at 8 studs wide. But I can't rebuild any existing models from 7 to 8 either, because it's mainly because of the trimline tape. That's all it ever really is, which is understandable when you think about it in certain ways, but it's not the worst thing in the world to have to reapply them. It just gets a bit expensive, if anything. I got a few people appearing in chat. The Lego Railway series. I believe you are Mutant Gibbs on Discord. Am I correct in remembering that? Just sound off if I got that correct or not. Union Pacific fan says, I never made a 7 stud wide build yet, but I've made a Titanic that was 7 studs wide. A 7 wide Titanic. That must be a minuscule model. Yes, you are. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to call you Mutant Gibbs because I'm more familiar with that username. Since you're here, there was a question asked earlier by Seth Brint, and he said, are there any new Lego train builders you see rising to the top? And I mentioned your name, because your Thomas models are fascinating. And I still look at your models, like your Spencer model in particular, how you've been able to get that A4 shape and all the extra tiny details where it just magically clips on and it's not going to be like loose or anything. Even the Thomas that you made for instructions for, it's still just unbelievable. I look at that and go, how do you do that? But at the same time, you kind of stare at it for an hour and you go, oh, that makes sense. But even then, how do you get to the point where you're building something and you get to there? It's so cool. It's really amazing to see what you've done. And since you are here, your Thomas instructions, is that on Rebrickable? I believe that was the place. Oh, Jack, I nearly copied and pasted that as well. I missed it. If you want to link your instructions in chat, by the way, feel free to do so. I mean, you know, free advertising right here. Jack, what was it you were going to send? I saw the message appear in the chat on the tablet, but then I saw message retracted. I thought, oh, damn it, just missed it. Need to update them in a bit, though. Fair enough. All the same, if you want a cracking good Thomas model, go check out his instructions. It's a proper talented model right there. Keep archiving the nerf questions. I'll end up. Well, what's this message you retracted a moment ago? Because I didn't copy and paste that one. I missed it. So yeah, if it wasn't if you like misspelt something, then I suppose that's fine. But if that was something new to add, then sadly that's not going to be answered later on. My teeth hurting a bit. Right, we have another group of questions by user Orient Express. What is your favorite engine from the US? Going back to what I mentioned earlier was keep arguing. That was all. Just a misspelling. Okay, fair enough. What was your favorite engine from the US? Going back to what I said earlier, the American multiplex locomotives look beautiful, as well as their streamliners. They are my favorite engines to kind of look at as well, but in particular I'd say the Allegheny because of its wheel arrangement. It looks monstrous, and because there's a Lego version of it that has been around for years, that kind of holds a kind of closer place to my heart. I don't think I'd build one myself, but even then, kind of looking at it and beholding it, so cool. What is your favorite book? Oh, I had this ready. Aha. So, Yogscast fans will recognize this Bodega. This is an actual book written by one of the members of the Yogscast. There is an audiobook version of this as well. This is a first edition of the book, as it's had a few reruns. I was going to get one of the later editions where I had a different cover, as well as other Bodega merchandise. Sadly, I kind of missed my window because I saw it was there, but never committed, which is a shame. But yes, this is basically a piss take of sci-fi, but in of itself is brilliant sci-fi. It's so fun and silly and quirky. And the first 24 chapters or 24 parts to this book were made on a podcast that the member who made this was a part of. So you can view the first section of the book for free, basically. And with the reactions that he gets for reading these parts of the book, it's so worth it. So type in Triforce Podcast Bodega and just have fun, because it's just wonderful. Bodega is a brilliant book. I saw that in chat. Hang on, I'm coming. I don't have to all take you for a rough housing type when it comes to Nerf, and especially not Legos being your thing. But have any blasters ever broken on you? Well, since I've just read that, I'll answer that now. No, I've never been one to intentionally break a blaster. I don't think I've accidentally broken a blaster either. I think when I got back into the Nerf hobby in 2019, I've been extra careful. And knowing the quality of Nerf brand blasters with Elite 2.0, I've been doubly careful because the last thing I want to do is break an Elite 2.0 blaster and not be able to fix it because you can't open those things up. So again, I'm someone who's very careful anyways. I've never roughhoused any Lego or any Nerf blasters before, but yeah, I don't remember ever intentionally breaking one. I'm maybe I accidentally broke one in the past years ago, but I don't remember that, so it's a bit of a shame. Back to the questions from Orient Express. What is your favourite episode of Thomas and Friends? Thomas and the Jet Engine. It is such a fun episode. I love it so much. It's so fast paced, it's so exciting. The jet engine turns on and it's just go full speed ahead from there. And that's what I love about that episode so much. It's just exciting. It's really fast paced, brilliant episode. Who is your favorite Thomas and Friends narrator? Amazingly, I would say Ringo Starr, because when I started that binge, going from the beginning, again, I got up to about halfway through season 9. I'm kind of struggling to carry on, but those first two seasons with Ringo Starr, it's so unique and a bit different. Yes, it's not something that kind of stuck around after the second season, but looking back, he's so good at it, especially in season 2 where he's more energetic. But again, a bit of a weird and maybe even a controversial choice. But for me, I would definitely say Ringo Starr. Who is your favorite Thomas and Friends? Oh, just did that one. Favorite episode yet? What inspired you to become a YouTuber? Not so much become a YouTuber. For me, it was I'm making these logo models. I want to show as many people as possible, so I'm going to get them on YouTube. Watching a video where you can actually see a video of me, going around the model and pointing out details of something I've made is more interesting for me, at least, from this side of things, than just taking a picture and that's it. All you've got is this one picture of the model instead of a 3-minute video where I'm talking about something and I'm getting up close. You can see it moving. Oh, good Lord. Burpee drinks. But yeah, what inspired me to become a YouTuber, so to say, more than anything, was I just wanted to show more people I've been making. That's what it ever really was. What was your favorite subject in school? Product design. I loved designing and doing drawing. The product design element in particular was more interesting and fascinating. What's the process when it comes to making a product? Go through these stages. What's the materials? What's the best thing to go about it? And yeah, it was something that I put the most focus into. Art was a close second because I got a fairly good grade with my art class. But yeah, I think product design and anything, it has a number of names actually, like product design, design technology, resistant materials was definitely one of them. But yeah, basically where I was crafty and doing some proper making, that was the fun thing. What got you interested in Ben 10? I think it was the same thing that kind of hooked everyone. I remember watching episodes when I was a kid, watching the classic series. Oh, hang on, another notification. So yeah, with Ben 10, the idea of transforming into aliens just with this super cool looking device on his wrist, that's all it ever was. It wasn't this massive suit. It didn't have to kind of superpower. Like Danny Phantom, he says he's going ghost, and then he transforms that way. It's a technology piece. It's different aliens as well on the creativity where there's more than 10 aliens. It was just a really cool show to watch when you were a kid. And again, when you're a kid, you go to school. Oh, did you watch Ben 10? Yes, I watched the Ben 10,000 episode. Oh, there's so many aliens. It's all that creativity that gets you as a kid. And even today, with the ink tank still going with Ben 10 related content, it still got my attention and I still love it. But yeah, overall, what got me interested, if anything, was just brilliant creativity for such an amazing show. What are your thoughts on Fireman Sam, Bob the Builder, and Wallace and Gromit? Fireman Sam and Bob the Builder were shows that I watched as a kid. I never really thought about them ever since watching them all those years ago. So they were good shows, but evidently I don't really care for them nowadays. Wallace and Gromit, that's more fun. There's definitely lots of Wallace and Gromit banter. Every now and then when I'm scrolling on YouTube, I'll see this video where it's the Senate scene from Revenge of the Sith, but Palpatine is replaced with Wallace. So I suppose Wallace and Gromit still has some kind of popularity thanks to kind of quirky videos like that. But yeah, Wallace and Gromit itself is still really cool, really fun. I remember watching I believe it's the very first Wallace and Gromit, where Gromit's doing some hammering, but Wallace is doing some sawing, and the saw is getting in the way of the hammer. So it's saw out the way, hammer, hit, hammer, like that. And just seeing that and how smooth it was, that was so funny. That was just brilliant. What is your favourite dog breed? This goes back to a question earlier in regards to pets. I'm not a pets person. I'm not someone who really wants pets. I'm not against dogs. I don't want to make it seem like I'm anti-dog or anything like that. I have no interest in wanting to have a dog as a pet, but in turn that also means I have zero dog knowledge or information at all. So when it comes to dog breeds, you could make up a name and I'll go, okay, that's a breed, sure. So I don't have any favorites. I'm not someone who, again, has the relevant information to properly answer this question. How many brick separators do you have? Loads. Just loads. Who knows how many? I've got loads of orange ones, but I've been able to get a few teal ones in sort of later sets, which is really cool. But how many exactly? Again, no idea. What is your favourite train that LEGO has made? The Emerald Knight. For me, it's my favourite because that's what really kick-started my LEGO train career, for lack of a better word. But even then, that set is still something that really does hold up compared to models and sets that are made today. It's such a fascinating train set to look back on. And yeah, I mean, there are definitely other train sets that definitely hold up. Things like the Hobby train sets, the Horizon Express, and a number of other sort of individual ones. Again, think something like the Crocodile Locomotive. But for me, Emerald Knight. Do you prefer the old style or new style of Lego Technic? I'm not a Technic builder. I use Technic bricks to connect the tender to the locomotive, and that's a 1x3 sort of Technic bar, or whatever you would call them. I use pins as well and axle rods, but that's it. I don't really use Technic properly. I'm not someone who would buy a Technic set, so even then, I wouldn't really know the difference between old style and new style Technic. I suppose old style is just all those bricks where it had all those holes in, and that's the kind of exclusive Technic style that was used back then. If that's the definition for that, I suppose the new Technic style would be the better one. I would definitely prefer the newer style because there's new shapes for Technic bricks, and some of the builds that you can see in sets that are in the Technic style. It's really cool. What is your favorite holiday? Christmas, because Christmas is the best. It's it's like the song says, it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's just the best thing ever. It's a day off for everyone, and it's just wonderful. Now we are moving on to 2 questions from Bendy76. Actually, just before we do, let's go back to chat and have a quick look and see what people are saying. I personally have had my dad permanently kill my Speedload 6. My cousin ripped the bolt off my Landlord Huntsman 50. Oh, the Huntsman 50. I remember seeing that in toy shops. And my friend damaged the inside of my Slingfire. Never broken my blasters myself, though. Well, it's a shame that other people broke them. I suppose you kind of go forward saying to them, I don't trust you anymore, or at least, be more careful and kind of just see what happens there. But that's a shame that people actually break blasters. Be careful, for goodness sakes. What's wrong with people? Ooh. I wanted to be a YouTuber for a while, whilst making my original name. Would have been Unminecraftable. That's a cool name. Unminecraftable. But 2 other people took it, so I became who I am today, showing up Lego Train stuff. Well, you can still do Minecraft videos, I suppose, but yeah. If it doesn't work one way, try something else and make that work. Design engineering stuff. I have lots of Lego I want to eventually build. Yeah. Dreyfus Hudson. I see that. There is a Lego version of the Dreyfus Hudson made by Tony Sava. Go onto Flickr, type that in, and behold his amazing handiwork. I see another Nerf question. Let's get that copied and pasted. To the bottom. There we go. What was that? I'll wait for it. I see it on the tablet chat. I need to wait for it to come in the PC chat. Just a quick reminder to anybody who is watching this as the first live stream of mine. What I'm using as the actual camera right now is my tablet, and in front of me is my monitor. So if I'm looking down like this, that's because I'm looking at my monitor. If I'm looking down at this angle, that's where the chat is on the PC screen. So it's not, I know it's a bit further down in the corner, but it is on purpose. So a message appeared on my tablet's chat, but not on the PC chat. I don't know why it's not appearing yet, so I suppose we'll just give it a moment. Anyways, back to the Q&A with 2 questions by Bendy76. Have you thought of doing more modern takes on the My Own Train line? Maybe not me, but I reckon someone out there could definitely do it in a much more professional and justified way. I could definitely do so myself, but at the same time, I don't know how I would try and redo those models. The locomotive could definitely be rebuilt with modern train bricks, drive wheels, I should say. But the overall shape for all of the wagons are kind of perfect as they are. I suppose you can remove the 6x24 bases that they're all sat upon. Another notification can disappear. There we go. I suppose you can get rid of those bases, make it a bit wider, make it a bit longer, but even then, I don't think that's necessary, because if you're going to make something for a train set, they are perfect as they are. So yeah, I think someone else out there could do that task better than I could. But that'll be an interesting thing to do one day, I suppose. Do you know the trouble with train series? Yes, I do. I remember in secondary school watching all of the episodes for that. I also remember coming home from school one day, opening up YouTube, and seeing Desk Railway Chronicles trailer, and it'd be like 20 seconds of it focusing on one train, then it would cut to another one, and eventually it would cut to the Emerald Knight. That was really exciting. It was like, oh, I know more of this Lego train series. It's really fun. Trouble with Trains is classic, man. That is such a good series. That's definitely worth a watch. It's very old and it does show its age, but if you are a Lego train fan of any kind, go and watch Trouble with Trains, because it's so funny. It's so incredible. Oh, good lord. I need to reposition myself 1 sec. Oh, my back. Oh, this is how you know you're getting old, when you start having back problems. Oh, good lord. There we go. Take a deep breath, and I suppose with this point you can see my t-shirt, and then your Fest club member weekend, one of the perks of being in the club. Let's create a space so I know where I'm going next. Oh, there we go. Just wanted to say that I'm rebuilding my Niagara for the millionth time. Well, here's to hoping this next rebuild actually turns into a decent model. Not to say the previous ones weren't decent, but this is a model in the sense that you're happy with and you want to actually keep built up this time. That did sound a bit shitty on my end. I do apologize. It's just bad wording for me. Hard one in. Oh, hang on. It's There we go. Another one for later on. Let me get that down there. There we go. Now we have 2 more questions from Redstone Reed, and I've been very eager for this one because what is your opinion on the word? Hang on, I need to make sure I can actually say this correctly. Defenestration. So defenestration. Defenestration. That'll do. So the definition is the act of throwing something or someone out of a window. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Very humorous. And I suppose my opinion on the word, it needs to be something that's a bit easier to pronounce. But I suppose that's something that's you could say a few times over. And once you got it right, you're basically sorted. But the act itself, not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. And his other question is, what was your first Lego set? And what was your first Lego train set? They're kind of the same answer. Oh, got another burp. Sorry. What was that? Number 7 now? Ugh. So my first Lego set that I remember buying myself was the Emerald Knights back in early 2010. I got one of them for Christmas 2009, and early 2010 I wanted to get another one, and that's one I bought. So my first train set and my first Lego set that I bought as a kid are basically the same thing in the version of the Emerald Knight. I probably did buy another set earlier before then, but I don't remember it. The earliest train sets and earliest Lego sets I remember buying is the Emerald Knight, which is, again, something that is ingrained in my memory forever because of what it spawned. You know, the Emerald Champion and where I am today. This next question from JL Studios. What's your favourite part of the Thomas Show? I'm going to give a bit of a weird answer because I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm going to say the entire classic era. That's my favourite part of the show. More so my favourite era, but again, everything that's with classic Thomas specifically, it's so storybook, it's so perfect, it's just a wonderful thing. But I think my favourite part of the show specifically was the physical models used on set, because seeing a show, a kid's show or other show where it's got a physical model, that's a different representation to CGI, because CGI, you can tell it's CGI, but with something physical, you can do so much more. You are restricted when it comes to camera angles, sure, but what you can actually do on screen is amazing. So physical models, and because of what that inspired fans to make going forward, everyone's own versions of 00 scale and custom takes, like real life versions of the characters. I think that's all because they were actual physical models to begin with. So yeah, I go with that. Haha. These next questions are from user Mutant Gibbs, who in the chat, if I can find him, which is a while up. So on YouTube, he's called The Lego Railway Series, but on Discord and I believe every other social media page, he's called Mutant Gibbs. Gibbs, if you're still here, sound off. Let's get regarding the recent deploy. Regarding the recent nerf deploy, I myself have an original 2009 model that came with the bandolier, and it hits a bit harder than my Recon, though the battery light is covered in blue tack. The deploy was 2010, or was there some secret 2009 prototype thing that came out around the time of the? Speaking of the Recon, since you said that, I always convinced myself that the Recon was a 2008 release. It wasn't. It was a 2009 release. I just got the year wrong. But that's quite interesting. I didn't realize it was still, that year. But yeah, 2009 going into Argos, buying I was able to convince my dad to get this toy. Seeing it come down the ramp, you got the physical box. Oh, that's so much fun. That's memories right there. Okay, so back to the Q&A with Mutant Gibbs. His first question is, if you could take any TV era Thomas character and put them in the Railway series books, who would it be? I would say Spencer, because the Recon is 2008. The one was 2009. I suppose it kept selling in 2009. Well, I suppose I got that right then. So, it being a 2008 release, I bought it in 2008. Ay. Anyway, if you can take any TV era Thomas character and put him in the Railway series books, who would it be? Spencer. Mainly because Spencer is my favourite character, and with how the character behaves and his rivalry with Gordon, I think that is a very interesting take with how you can make that realistic in the Railway series. Gordon saying, I'm the best express engine on Sodor. Spencer arrives, I'm the best express engine in England, and they have their rivalry. And the stories that take place in the TV series can easily take place in the Railway series books. I think it's easy to do that transfer, and instead of taking something from the books to the TV show. So yeah, for me, Spencer. I can definitely feel my voice starting to go. Good lord. Well, not much longer to go though. We're doing okay. It is now 8:15 for me. TFN1 Studios, hello! Good to see you made it. I honestly agree Spencer is kind of perfect. Yep. I think Unlucky Tug put it best where he definitely feels like an Audrey-style character. But Spencer is still a very cool character itself, and him being an A4, I suppose it's just a bonus. Next question. What class of engine would you love to have a model of, but really don't want to actually build? I would probably say, again, thinking back to the American articulated engines, one of them, just because of how massive they are. I've already gone through the era of the Giants, and I'm not fond of building anything that massive anymore. But there are real-life articulated engines based in America and I think in South Africa still. Thinking of the Garretts, that is. So I think having a model of them would be really cool, but I can't be bothered to make one. I'm not going through all of that. I don't want to do that. So that would be my best answer. Just something massive, basically. Something massive and expensive. Ugh. Mwah. Mine's always been Big Boy. We have similar thoughts. Yeah, again, big engine, I suppose. But yeah, Big Boy is definitely a popular model to want to have a popular locomotive to want to have a model of. What's your opinion on modifying bricks, custom parts, third-party pieces, and 3D printed bricks? And where do you draw the line on these things? So custom parts, I suppose that is the only custom parts. I don't know how you would describe that. I suppose custom only comes in the sense of modified bricks as well, which I'll answer at the end. Otherwise, it's parts that have come from other sets that are off-brand. So, I don't have the. I was going to point over there, but I don't have it. There's an old own brand train station set that I bought 7 of to make a big old train station, but it also came with a train. And in that set came a few 1x2 plates with studs on both sides. I have used that in my City of Truro model and maybe a few other models. I can't remember. But in terms of custom parts, that's probably as far as I would take it. Someone in chat said my name. I used to have Tommy AA battery powered Thomas growing pentagonals. I selected to run on a huge wooden railway and circuits. It was too big. Yeah, I got a load of wooden railway stuff as well. I've still got the box of my wooden railway toys over there. So back to the question. Custom parts, that's probably as far as I can really answer that question. Anything that's third party, again, that's not a problem because it's a specific part that would be beneficial to a model. And I suppose that also goes in hand with 3D printed bricks. It's specially made for a particular model, but 3D printed bricks in the sense of wheels and rods. That's now a good guy. You have to go now. But we were having so much fun. All the same, thank you so much for sticking around. I'm glad you were able to tune in for the live stream for as long as you have as well. This has been a very long live stream and we've still got a while to go. But thank you so much for tuning in. And hopefully I did answer all of your questions, right? Yours were further up, weren't they? Yeah, you had like 2 questions further up. Okay. So I think someone else had to tune out. Me too, in the garage long. Been in the garage long, but not forgotten. Oh, with the bricks. I thought I meant you had to disappear. Okay. So yes, I keep getting myself distracted. 3D printed parts and third-party parts kind of come in the same. But when it comes to 3D printed bricks specifically, actual bricks with studs, I wouldn't trust that. If that was 3D printed, I'm not using it because that's not reliable, because that's much more prone to breaking. So where do I draw the line of these things? I would say modifying bricks. The most obvious example I can bring to attention is British Bricks P2. And sorry, I keep looking at chat because one of my Discord mods just said he had to disappear, and other people are saying, all right, I'm done with this. Okay, me too. I'm thinking, no, people aren't leaving as well, are they? No, it's just something else. Joel King, stick around for a moment because your questions are after Mutant Gibbs. And I'm pretty sure you're keen to get your answers for your questions. But yeah, so modifying bricks. Again, British Bricks has made an LNR P2. Very gorgeous model. But at the front of the smoke deflectors, it's a 2x2 slope brick. But you can very obviously see that one of the corners has been rounded. And the only way to do that is to actually sand them down to that shape. So I can understand why, but I'm not keen on doing that myself. I would never go that far with bricks. I have can you see it? I'm just up there in the corner. You can kind of see it. Well, chat's in the way from me at the moment, so wait for it to disappear. There we go. So with what I'm pointing at right now, this sort of black arm thing and this sort of red thing there. So that's one of my wings on my Deathwing model. And I have glued a few parts to try and keep the stability there. Gluing parts, I think, is, well, a bad thing anyways, but in certain circumstances like this, is somewhat, again, not so much acceptable, but at least understanding. Because something like gluing a part, someone like shaving down a part, that's permanent. So, me being a bit of a purist when it comes to bricks, I wouldn't go that far. That's where I would draw the line. Things like physically modifying a brick or gluing bricks, that is something that I personally would never do. That's where I draw my line. Mutant Gibbs' last question is, how did you feel about Ben 10 being rebooted instead of continuing on from Omniverse? And thoughts in the reboot on the reboot in general. I never really watched Ben 10 after Classic. When I was a kid, I watched all the Classic episodes and I thought, okay, that's the end of the show. I didn't go on forums or see any news to see Ben 10 is still going in the form of Alien Force and Ultimate Alien and Omniverse. I think by the time the reboot came around, that's when I discovered all those series existed in the first place. And then to see the reboots, I thought, oh, it's being rebooted, it's not the original. So I kind of wrote it off back then. But even then, at that point, I didn't have full investment in it. It's only in the past few years where I've gotten back into the show. So the reboot was looked at as a bad thing and it was kind of frowned upon by a lot of people. But it's definitely aged well with time. Me as well. I've taken more of a liking to the reboots. I've watched a few episodes, like season finales and all those season 5 sort of specials in particular. They were really cool. And yeah, I think the reboot itself is not a bad thing at all. It's a shame that it didn't continue on from the original continuity, but reboots make sense where you can recapture all that love and attention that the original series has. What the hell just happened there? Are we... Okay, Okay, sorry about that, everyone. My tablet just said, okay, we're live, and decided to keep going. We're 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 30 seconds in, according to my stream information. So, are we still good? Are we still here? God, that had me panicking for a moment. I thought I was done for. I thought the stream was about to end. Oh, yay. Right, where were we? All in all, Ben 10 reboot, good thing. Let's carry on before the stream gets even more cursed. Jolt King, your questions are next. Right, we're good? Okay, excellent. So we can just carry on. First question. What would it take for you to try out... what would it take for you to try your hand at modifying a Nerf blaster? I think it's a bit laggy for a moment. Are we... Sorry, I'm doing a few more tests with my tablets. Okay, there's a bit of lagging when it comes to the movement. I think it's just because I've been doing this for 2 hours. Sorry, just stand by. The battery's okay. It's not draining the battery too much. I think it's just because it's been going on for nearly 2 hours. Right. Anyway, what would it take for you to try your hand at modding a Nerf blaster? For starters, it would have to be a spring power blaster because I don't want to mess with any electronics in any flywheel blasters. I don't have any skills or kind of training, so to say, when it comes to electrics or anything electrical, especially with Nerf blasters as well. I don't want to have to deal with batteries and shuffling around wires just in case I accidentally snip one and the blaster just stops functioning altogether. If anything, actually, no, that reminds me. There was something I tried to do in the past. This was a few years ago as well. I bought a Nerf Terror Scout. It's the magazine-fed sort of drone tank thing, the remote control one. And I took off the main blaster unit, and I have, and should still have, yeah, it's in one of these boxes down here. I have a spare Rapid Strike, and I said to my dad, I want you to kind of give me a hand with this because I have no electronical knowledge when it comes to this sort of thing, but he does. I want to kind of put the Rapid Strike, not so much put the Rapid Strike internals in the reattach wire. You do realize you can reattach wires to most of the electronic mods with new rides anyway. Well, I don't know that. Again, this is not. I don't do. I'm a very stock class nerfer, so something even if it's so simple, it's not something I've researched, so I won't actually know. But if I was going to actually try modding a blaster, it would have to be something small and simple to begin with. An integration mod would be nice to try, but you will train me, yes. I am sure that you will train me and you will do some special one-to-one sessions. But just to get this story out of the way, a few years ago when I had a Terror Scout, I wanted to make it a shoulder-mounted blaster, and I was going to use a spare Rapid Strike to make it work. But I was too busy looking at all the internals, kind of scratching my head thinking, how am I supposed to fit these in there? How do I cut here? I was, again, stock class nerfer. This was a few years ago too, so I was very intimidated. So sadly that project's kind of failed. But I would love to try that again one day in the future. Basically taking the Terror Scout shell, putting a stock on it, giving it a full auto body and a grip, of course, to be able to actually hold the blaster, and see what that looks like in the shoulders. I reckon that could work. I really do reckon that could work. Let me just see what other messages you've been saying in the chat. Best place to start is a Strife or something similar, a very simple circuit. So yeah, I suppose we could do that. Tell you what, that reminds me as well. I rewatched Captain Xavier's review for the, what's it called? The Phoenix. That's it. Semi-automatic blaster. But when he took it apart, all the flywheel stuff was in this one single sort of unit, and there was very few sort of wires and other details kind of going outwards from the blaster. It was all very compact. So I thought I wouldn't mind getting another Phoenix just so it's all there. Take that out, modify the shell, put it back in, do something else that way, just because you can literally take out all of the Eternals in one go. That would be really cool. You could very easily make this Terror Scout thing happen. No rough strike Eternals near, just existing Eternals should be fine. Yes, I'm sure it is easy, but again, this was 2 years ago. I didn't do any research beforehand. This was a very excited me going, oh, I reckon I can make this work. I don't know what I'm doing. Binned. So yeah, I will give that a go another day, and that will probably be my first all-in mod attempt, because I genuinely would like to see what a Terror Scout shoulder, or at least a shoulder mounted, you know, a shoulder Terror Scout blaster, what that would look like. That would be very cool. A couple of squitches, and yeah, explain it to me in better time. I suppose another day we can set up a call on something on Discord or something like that another day in the future. I'll buy the another Terror Scout first, because the idea is very cool. Please let me teach you how to mod. Yes, you can teach me how to mod. That's fine. I'll let you do so. You know what you're doing and I don't. I need another quick drink here. So I'm also using this opportunity to watch the stream as well. Every few moments it does seem to like lag a little bit. Not so much when I move, but that's the best indication as to whether it is lagging or not. Oh, my jaw. Binned. Yeah. Okay then, where were we? Let's get the Word document up. So, second question from Jolt King. Would you ever buy Nerf Ultra should it be proved to be good enough for you? I believe it is good enough now. I think the Pharaoh was the first proper good Ultra Blaster. Then we got the Select, and then we got this new. What's the new one? What's the? It's the one that I think you showed it in the server as well. The Pulse? Is it called the Pulse? Where it's a full auto blaster. There's another one in the stock where the magazine can be inserted that way in the stock. It's supposed to be advertised as a crazy fast firing blaster. That looks proper good. I held off buying a Select because I wasn't too keen on going into Ultra at that time. But I think this next Ultra blaster that's coming out, again, Joe, you'll have to help me out here. Is it called the Pulse? The Ultra Pulse? Ultra Speed, that's it. The Speed, that one looks like an absolute unit. That's probably going to be the first Ultra Blaster I get. Oh, pardon me, there it is from the Lucasade. So yeah, I think it is now good enough for me to get, but It's whether or not I'm ready to actually spend that much money. I suppose I could probably give it a while and wait for the price to kind of go down, because I remember when I bought the Infamous and the Flip 32, not too long after, the prices for both of those blasters dropped significantly. So I won't get a speed straight away. I think I'll give it another month maybe, and after it's been properly released, wait for the price to go down and then give it a go, because I reckon that will be an absolute unit of a blaster. Ultra drum magazines, that's I would keep an eye out for too. You're mentioning AccuStrike darts. What are you on about? Also, it seems like all new designs come with AccuStrike. Yeah, all these Ultra AccuStrike darts as well seem to be the new standard. That seems like that's brilliant, because there are people that have been saying, standard elite darts and standard ultra darts are terrible. Stick to the accurate versions, and they're actually doing it. That's so cool. The most difficult, that's the tough one. I was supposedly talking to Jack there in the chat. Fair enough. Let's carry on. Your next question is, if you could get one locomotive turned into an official set, what would it be? My coronation, because everybody needs some streamlined goodness in their life. I would also love for the train set box to look similar to how I've designed my one over there rather. Maybe not a full set like the locomotive and 2 coaches, for the sake of not being crazy expensive. But yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous thing. I've obviously made the box to be train set-esque. 10 coaches and the locomotive as well. I need to show that box off properly one day. But that'll be, of all the things I've made, that's probably the most train set-esque thing worth making into an official set. And final question is, what is your opinion on half-length darts, and will you ever obtain any? Half-length darts are more popular than full-length darts, I believe, on the basis that they're just more accurate. I believe that's the ultimate reason behind them. And besides, they're half-length. You can basically fit 2 half-length magazines in a pouch in the space of where one normal-length magazine would go. So there's definitely the space reason. But I think it is ultimately for accuracy reasons, right? You'll have to double check me on that. There we go. We're 2 hours in. My tongue is starting to fail. But I definitely remember Wolcom saying somewhere the main reason why half-length darts are the best. Better aerodynamics and more stable. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, they're just, i.e., they're better. And as to whether I will ever obtain any, I don't know, on the basis that I would need to get a blaster that actually fires half-length darts. And there are some good options out there, but I would probably look to the Dart Zone Pro series more than anything else, because, we look at something like the Worker blasters, even Coop earlier today. Sorry, that's number 9. So earlier today, Coop uploaded a video. I don't know if you've seen this. He reviewed the Woozy, crazy looking blaster. But it's things like that, and even, again, it's not so much Worker isn't 3D printed anymore, but I think it's sort of lesser known brands, at least to me. I'm more familiar and I could better recognize something made by Dart Zone compared to something made by Worker. So I could definitely see myself obtaining some in the future. It's just another case of committing to spending X amounts of money for it. So yes, I will get some. Half-length darts are the best, but I don't know when that day will arrive for when I will get some half-length darts blasters. I suppose if I'm going to get some half-length darts, I may as well go all in with the ultra stuff too. Maybe I could just get both of those at the same time and just experience a new side to the Nerf hobby. That'd be good. So yeah, that's all the questions from Jolt King. The next question comes from the Devil's Train. What is your favourite colour? Purple. It might sound like a bit of a weird answer, but it is. It's purple. Lovely colour. Next question comes from user Archie. Have you ever considered making gaming videos on Fallout or any other game series you are interested in? Going back to what I said earlier in regards to Minecraft videos and Roblox, I'm not going to make any more gaming videos because my channel is not set up for that. If I try and do something too different to what I've already done with the Lego trains and the Nerf stuff, I don't think it's going to get that much interest. It's going to be something for a few people, but not enough people to warrant to keep going with it. Next question comes from the Zodiac. Having used to build models at 6 wide, do you think you can still make engines with a lot of detail at 6 wide? Or do you think you would be compromising some details, hence why you build at 7? Well, kind of, yes. That does kind of answer your own question, and going 7 wide is better. However, my model of Percy is 6 studs wide. That still looks perfectly like Percy, all the details are there, but it's only 6 wide. I could definitely take it 1 stud wider and make it look a bit different, maybe kind of make the cab and the boiler proportions a bit more natural looking, because I did some weird sideways building in order to achieve Percy's look at 6 wide. But I still did it, it's still there. But ultimately, yes, even with tank engines, go 7 wide because it will benefit them greatly. But 6 wide isn't as limiting as you think, it's just more difficult. You can squeeze them all in, it's just, you got a challenge ahead of you. Oh, good lord. I'm really out of breath, Oh, man. Okay, then. The next 2 questions come from user PMGamer78. Will you ever buy a Fortnite Nerf Blaster? I have. I own 2 Fortnite Nerf Blasters. The first one is the SPL, which I painted in black for a past Captain America cosplay. And the other one, which I showed off in last week's stream, I believe, is the IR. And that is a very interesting blaster. I nearly said rifle. It is a rifle, but the blaster itself was very interesting. The barrel and stock attachments are the main reason why I got that. But even then, it's got a barrel and stock attachment point, obviously. 1 tack rail. It's a flywheeler. It can take magazines. It's a cool blaster. I'm not going to do a video on it because I don't care for Fortnite, sadly. But I remember seeing that on a shelf in a toy store, and I thought, you know what? That's tempting. But I think the main reason why I didn't go for it is, again, because it was Fortnite. Ooh. Blah, blah, blah. That was a bit more than a burp. Oh dear. But yes, I have 2 Fortnite blasters, and they're looked after. They're still here, but I'm not going to do too much more with them. His other question is, do you have any Lego Marvel sets or minifigures? Yes. Sadly, I don't have any to hand to show you, but the way things used to be arranged in this room was there used to be a brown chest of drawers right here where my bed now is, and I had a small line of different Captain America minifigures. They might even be in a cup underneath the bed, but yeah, it might be easier to get than I think, but I do have a few Marvel sets. I actually have, in the bag that I mentioned over there with all my Lego sets still sealed, I have a Marvel set in there. It's the Iron Man versus Justin Hammer set with a car and a big mech suit. That's fairly old, I believe, and that's still sealed. So I'm going to keep that sealed because that might be worth a pretty penny later down the line. But yes, ultimately I do have some, which is lovely. Chuma, are you still here? If you are, sound off, because your question is next. Just before I answer your question, let's have a quick return to chat. The IR would be an excellent one to try to mod. I might keep that stock, to be honest, because I've got my fun with it, and in a way, I don't really want to mod that. If I'm going to do a mod, we will do one together, and it will be the Terror Scouts with a stock and a grip mod idea that I mentioned earlier, because I really want to try and do that. I have a spare Rapid Strike to hand for the extra parts, and maybe even try to use some of the shell details as integration. So, yeah, we'll do that. Regular Nerf question. We'll get that copied and pasted over. We've got loads of these coming through. We are nearing the end as well, by the way. Not too much longer to go, which is amazing. Oh, my chest. Just gonna put it over there. I think that'd be better to start off with something semi-auto first. Yeah, fair enough. Well, at the same time, if I can have a full auto blaster compared to a semi-auto blaster, I'd rather do that. I'm a bit of a picky asshole when it comes to that. My favorite blasters are the full auto flywheelers. I do enjoy playing with the semi-auto ones, but I would rather try and gravitate towards the auto ones, which is also part of the reason why the Regulator is one of my favorite blasters. But yeah, even then, it would be better to jump into the deep end when it comes to modding, so I can learn some of the more difficult techniques for should I want to mod anything else in the future. That is pretty much it. I think the rest of the chat is a few things in relation to a Nerf conversation that was going on. I don't know if I will start construction of my Lego UP. You're gonna make a Lego UP 9000? Do it! Oh my god, a Lego UP 9000. I want to see that. To anybody who doesn't know what that is, a Union Pacific 9000. It's I believe it's a 412-2, or it's a 212-4, but basically the drive unit, 12 drive wheels together in one solid block. Do it. Build it. I want to see that. That will be amazing. Right, back to Juma's question. What is your favourite superhero and why? Captain America. So why? That's mainly because as a teenager, I was part of something called the Army Cadet Force. I don't know if that's something that's, or rather how common that is for other parts of the world, but it's basically proper army training for teenagers. It's not, you're not going to be sent off to actually go fight in wars or anything like that, but it's a very interesting way of being taught military skills to help get yourself ready for a better life, because I definitely see myself as someone who is the person I am today because of that training. Oh, goodness, sorry. Another one. But also, Captain America, or Steve Rogers in particular, was someone who, you know, he'll always try and do the right thing. And I kind of see myself in Captain America, which is something that I believe a lot of people also kind of agree with and see, or would say the same thing. And that's, yeah, I think it's kind of reason enough. You know, you want to be your best self, and I believe Captain America is one of those people who is the golden person for being good, which is why he's my favorite. These next two questions come from Scooby Dum. What Lego games do you like? I don't play Lego games, but I do remember playing some Lego Star Wars games on my DS years ago, so that was really fun. And have you completed, as in 100% completed, any Lego video game? Nope, I sadly never got that far. Again, thinking back to the Star Wars game I played years ago, it's another one of those games where I got to a certain point and just, you know, I couldn't continue. I didn't know what I was doing at that point, so I thought, no, I'll just put the game down. I'll come back to it later on. Evidently, never did. And I think there's a question from someone who asked, yep, oh dear. Right, so we have another question from the user, The Devil's Train. I missed this earlier. This is also the person who asked what my favorite color is. He also asked, what's your favorite dinosaur? I'm not really a dinosaur person. You know, when you're a kid and you get into things and you have that bucket of small plastic dinosaurs, it's no, they don't really go along with me. It's a bit of a shame, but sadly I don't really have a favorite. But I will also say this: there is a YouTuber called Soviet Womble. If you know him, then you know how good his videos are. And he did a video talking about The Isle, which is a dinosaur PvP game, and it's brilliant. It's so incredibly fun. I haven't played it, but the video makes it look so tempting. So go onto YouTube, type in Soviet Womble The Isle, and it's one of the best video essays ever. Next few questions come from user Mac5. It's been a few years since you built your 6106 Phantom Express. Looking back on it, what did you like about it? What did I like about it? Well, it was something different. With all of my other main locomotives, my Emerald Champion being my only giant at the time, and upcoming versions of the Blue Guardian and Big Red, they were on their way to being giants, but the Phantom Express was a ghost train, basically. And it's gimmicky and it has a very specific and obvious theme, but it stood out. And the overall shape, even if I took off all the Halloween details, the shape of that locomotive was really nice. And there was a couple of videos I made on some of my Lego trains where it was Emerald Champion Once in History, Big Red, the Unsung Hero, or something like that. Phantom Express, my proudest creation, which at the time, it was. It was brilliant. He also asks, do you like building model kits? I haven't built a model kit in I don't know how long. I don't remember ever building model kits. When I was on my Tugs high, I did have a look around for a model tugboat. You know how you can get model battleships and model planes? I thought to myself, surely somewhere there's a model tugboat. There technically were, but I couldn't find any. It was basically online only, and I thought, I'm not going to do that. It's going to just not be worth it really, which is a bit of a shame. We are very close to the end now. We have 3 more users to go through. So my good friend Josh, who appeared on the live stream a few weeks ago, shout out to Josh, he says, what kind of music do you listen to? So thinking back to the Beatles question, I don't really have any particular band or musician that I enjoy listening to, but at the moment, there is a band... Oh, notification, go away because you cause lag. Okay, there we go. There is a band here in Bristol called The Longest Johns, and they sing folk music and sea shanties. I've got a couple of songs saved on a YouTube playlist that I listen to fairly regularly, and they're really cool. I like them. The sea shanties in particular are very fun. I only got, was it 6 or 7 songs saved? So that's his own thing, but even then, that is probably the sort of thing I would listen to going forward. Again, theme songs are the sort of thing I would listen to regularly, but it's very rare for a piece of music from to kind of stick around with me. Oh, another thing as well is video game soundtracks. Skyrim, amazing soundtrack. Super Mario Galaxy, best soundtrack. Don't at me, it's the best. But things like that, it's just cool music from video games that kind of really grab my attention. That's sort of the main things I would go to. R2D2 J2 B2 asks, do you think there has been an increase in popularity in the Lego train community? I believe so, but it's one of those steady natural growths where there's always going to be new people coming into the train side of the Lego hobby, and they're going to be, they're new, they'll say, hello, here's what I got, and eventually in time they'll start to learn techniques, they'll know, and they'll know what models they want to make, and they will refine what they are building. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely increasing in popularity, especially with the new LUKR members that came into the club a few months ago. So I would definitely say yes, but it might not be as much of a spike in popularity. That is probably what you kind of think it would be. And finally, Jack Taylor. All of your Nerf questions are here. Are you ready? I need to make this bigger. Version Nerf 12. Right, so the first question is Recon Mark II or the Mediator? Mediator. Easy choice. My Recon Mark II was taken apart, and I took off the side rail of my Recon Mark II to apply to my regulator. So now my regulator has a side rail thanks to the Mark II. Mediator itself, very cool blaster. And even then, Mediator stock, that's on my personalized combo. Of this list of blasters, which of these do you have that haven't been seen or reviewed on your channel? The Hailfire, the Rampage, the Retaliator, the Crossbolt, the Rough Cut, the Sledgefire, the Strong Arm, the Hammershot, Disruptor, Flip Fury, Firestrike, Knight's Finder, and Sidestrike. So I used to have a Knight's Finder. This was years ago before I sold all my blasters off to kind of take a break from the hobby. And all the other blasters are blasters that I don't have. The Hailfire, I remember seeing that in Toys R Us and thinking, what on earth is that? But looking back, that's a blaster I wish I had. Maybe I'll get one day, but I need enough 18 dart stick mags to be able to actually use that properly. The Rampage and the Retaliator, I'm not going to get. I have the original Raider and Recon, which is what the Rampage and Retaliator were elite reskins of. Not so much just reskins, but also improved performance, but at the same time, I come from the original N-Strike days, so I gravitate towards the Recon and the Raider more so than the Rampage and Retaliator. The Crossbolt. Wasn't the Crossbolt a really bad blaster? I remember, I don't know whose review it was, but I remember seeing a review where people were saying it's just bad. You know, there's so many on sale on Gumtree and eBay as well. So that's a blaster, which is it's a what's the word? Bullpup. That's it. It's a bullpup, which is cool, but it's also a crossbow, which is bad. The rough cuts, I want to get a rough cut, but this is one of those blasters where you can see loads of them secondhand, but they're not cheap. I would like to try and get a rough cut eventually one day, but I'm in no rush for one of them. Sledgefire, I've got the trilogy and the pistol shotgun, whatever that's called. So because this is a blaster that takes different shells, it was before my time. Well, not so much before my time, but this came out when I was having my break from the Nerf hobby, so I won't be going for one of those either. The Strong Arm, the Disruptor, and the Flip Fury. Again, I'm someone who comes from the original End Strike days. I have a Maverick. So the Strong Arm, the Disruptor, and even the Flip Fury are Maverick reskins. Yes, the Flip Fury has 2 cylinders, but I don't want them. I want my Maverick, which is a very weird thing to say, but it makes sense for me because, again, I come from the original End Strike days. For me, when people say, oh, this is very similar compared to a Strong Arm, like in one of those Coop reviews where he says, this is a handheld blaster with a top prime and has a cylinder very similar to a Strong Arm or a Disruptor. But for me, in my mind, it's very similar to a Maverick. So yeah, because I have the Maverick, I don't want these 3 blasters because I'll just have reskins of a blaster that I hold more dear. Yes, they're better performance ones, but again, personal taste sort of thing. Hammer shots. I think I need to eventually get a hammer shot in my life because it is a good blaster. Maybe one day, but again, this is another blaster where I'm in no rush for one. The Fire Strike, which was... Let me have a quick look. Nerf Fire Strike. Oh, that's basically the Night Finder. Again, I used to have a Night Finder. The Fire Strike does work in a way where it's just an upgrade from the Night Finder, but classic me would rather go for that blaster. And the Side Strike, it's a very odd... That is what I think it is, right? Nerf Side Strike. Oh no, it's something else. A single shot blaster with his own holster. You see loads of these on eBay. If I wanted one, I would have gotten one years ago. So because of how singular it is in purpose, it's not something I'm too interested in, sadly. So all of these blasters, definitely valid. There are a few that I could probably see myself getting one day in the future. But for now, I currently don't have any desire for them. One day. Oh, it's a exhale there. Let me quickly check the chats because I think there's a few more. There was another question coming in. I really need to pee, so I'm really glad that we're approaching the end. Which of these blasters have you always wanted but never get hands on? For me, it's the Lock and Load, Stampede, Mediator, Excel, and I've got a Chrono Barrel. I was amazed that a Chrono Barrel came to the UK, and I grabbed one straight away. Same with all the Mediator stuff too. I think everything else in that comment also did come to the UK. Stampede in particular, I remember getting that off the shelf. Very fun time. Hellfire is overrated. Rotation doesn't like anything bigger than a 6-round magazine. Makes sense. What about a bunch of 12-round stick mags? Surely that can work, right? I mean, that's not too excessive. Crossbow is great if you remove the locks. Fair enough. Hellfire, Strong Arm. Is there a blaster called the Swing Fire? Let's have a look. Swing Fire. Maybe not Nerf Swing Fire. There's Sling Fire, which is a lever action rifle, but not so much a swing fire. So that might be what you're thinking of. Okay then. Next, big, bruising, and intimidating versus smaller, faster firing, and more mobile support gunners versus, i.e., an Elite Titan CS50 versus the Elite Hyperfire. Which one has done you best? Well, I have both of those blasters, and I gravitate more towards the Hyperfire. It has a faster rate of fire, which is something that I am very turned on to. They're both magazine fed, which is fine, but again, I think the Hyperfire is more of a traditional rifle sort of style blaster. You got it in your shoulder, you can aim down sights. I think that's why I gravitate to that more. The Titan definitely has the advantage with ammo capacity because that comes with a 50 dart drum. The Hyperfire only comes with a drum with half the size, i.e. 25. But all the same, I still think the Hyperfire is, of those two, I'd go for that. But in terms of what you said earlier, big bruising and intimidating versus smaller, faster firing and more mobile support gunner. I'm definitely a mobile support gunner, but I'm definitely a much more slower paced because with the way my regulator is set up and with my gear, I don't see myself moving that fast. But that's something I should explain more so when it comes to my personal setup. That is a video that is coming soon enough. Next, the Dart Tag Swarmfire versus the Elite's Rapid Strike. Oh, that's close. That is honestly really close. Ooh, pardon me. Again, that's what, 10 now? My mouth is going really dry. I've been talking for 2.5 hours. When will this end? So, of these two blasters, honestly, for me, it's really close because the Swarmfire was so much fun back in the day. I would say the Rapid Strike because it's a future classic. It might even be counted as a classic now. It's nearly a decade old. Is the Nerf Recon CSX Tactical Light or the Nerf Modulus Demolisher Tac Light better for nighttime battles, or is a little Maglite torch better than both? I suppose a separate torch would be your best bet because it will shine brighter. Anything that Nerf has made on purpose is dim because because of legal reasons. Basically, in Coop's review, he does say it best where it's dim on purpose because I suppose there'll be a bunch of legal problems where parents will say, my kids have been shining this in each other's eyes and now they're blind. A bit excessive, but at the same time, you can see what they mean. So a separate, you go to a store to buy a torch, go with one of those, I'd say. Shotgun Showdown. The Barrel Break versus the Trilogy versus the Shell Strike. Trilogy. It's the best. Or the Rough Cut. Again, all of those, I would say the Trilogy. The shells are very fun, and it has ammo storage in the stock. And I would always run the Trilogy with the rail adapter that comes with the Modulus Demolisher kit. I always have 2 shell carriers on the sides. So there we go. There are a load more here, right? Okay, that is not a good sound. Right, sorry, stand by everyone. Right, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, Jack, but I'm going to have to cut you off there and pass on these questions. I can definitely feel myself needing to use the loo, and I don't know if you heard that rumble just then, but that was a warning. So I've still got these last ones saved. If you are in the Discord server, Jack, I recommend you go over to the Discord server and I will answer those questions there. But ladies and gentlemen, I am sadly going to have to rush off now, otherwise I'm going to have a very serious problem. Thank you all ever so much for watching and tuning in. This is a very abrupt end. I know it's very unprofessional and I do greatly apologize. But nature is calling and I don't want to leave you for the next 10 minutes. Once I'm gone, I'll be gone for a while and I don't want to do that. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for 10 years on YouTube. I'll see you soon. Sorry again for the very abrupt ending, but this is not a comfortable scenario. Thank you so much, everyone.